Very well. So we've got audio. We've got audio. I hope you can hear me well. So then we've got a video as well. Perfect. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, honorable judges, my most esteemed friends, LVE tribe, as well as everyone accompanying us. On this rather precious, heated day of Shabbat from California, the US of A, today being Shabbat, the 7th of Tammuz, or the 4th month, of the year 5993 from creation, corresponding to the 13th day of July of the year 2024, in which we shall study yet another chapter of Wisdom and Discipline, part 25. Can we change the apocalypse, part 8? This is a subject that we have dealt with many different concepts and different things, and different people that listened to us have decided to not hear us anymore. This week, somebody wrote to me telling me that actually it was insanity to think that we could change what is written. The thing is that maybe they don't hear me well or they don't understand me well. What is written, that you understand as written, is the interpretation that was told to you. That is what is written, the interpretation of what was written. But what the Christians, or maybe some of you that have yet to understand what I've taught, which is an interpretation as well, of course, still has, they're holding on to their base, to the interpretation of what was given to them about what was written. They've always said that the apocalypse is a book that is symbolic, but everyone takes in their mind and keeps what was taught to them, and they have accepted as truth. Many different groups, which are not few, they think that the whole entire apocalypse has already been fulfilled, and it's not just a few that believe in that. They believe that we are in the millennium, that it's not 1,000 literal years, but symbolic. They believe that the whole destruction and the great tribulation of which Yeshua spoke of, who was Yahweh in a human form, was fulfilled in Jerusalem, and it's not again fulfilled in the world. It's an interpretation just like other ones. They're all valid. We have to see which is the true one, but they're different ones because they're different interpretations. When I was an Adventist, I knew perfectly well those things that didn't believe in the millennium, and that all hope, because a long time ago, I can't remember now about in the written, but they're evangelical that believed. Did you know that almost all the evangelicals of the 1800s, they believed that the Great Tribulation had already taken place, that it was the destruction of Jerusalem, and it is very valid. This concept is, it is very valid, this concept is, because to tell the truth, the Bible is there to be interpreted. It is sealed. And who are we to say, I have the only absolute truth and the rest doesn't? No, because the book is sealed. I offer a very different interpretation to all the rest, and if you see what I teach, then we are in the very same symphony of interpretation. But I don't even take away the validity of the people that try and have tried, which have lived a long time ago, that have tried to discover what the scriptures say. Being as it is being sealed, nobody is blamed for trying to understand something what in some way or another that is not so tolerable to say, is to try to impose rules and sanctions and even persecutions to those that don't believe like yourself. We don't even want to place any sanction or persecute anyone that doesn't believe like we do. We could care less. what people think. Tell the truth, we could care less what the people think for now. But the rest of the religious groups, as they would understand something which would appear to them, not that it's truth, it was truth to them, they would try to make it be known and to tell those that don't believe as us they go to hell, as is done by this one guy, Christian from Uruguay, that he has a month left for his rapture, which he says that even if you accept Christ, since you rejected his date, then you're lost. And I mean, everyone believes to have the truth, but when you think you have the truth, you condemn the whole rest of the world, because if you have the truth, the rest is forcibly a lie. In that I understand, because up until a certain point we believe in that way, that the rest is deceived, but we don't condemn anyone. That's the difference. In fact, I think it's fine for them to be deceived, because the scripture says that at some point in time, when Yahweh in his creation that he has already pre-seen, and he does it, the whole world will know the truth. But when that takes place, it has to be with an event that the people can see the difference. Now, it's just concepts, it's opinions, it's interpretations. So then they wrote to me saying, the truth is that it makes sense what you say, but I cannot abandon the idea of rejecting the whole entire destruction, which the book of Apocalypse says. The thing is that it's the interpretation of the destruction of the book of Apocalypse says. Because I say the Apocalypse, we will not change it, because symbolically speaking, written, it doesn't mean what it seems that it means. That the lake of fire is not eternal death, that many different things of the symbols that are there, if we were to interpret them different, it changes the sense of it. Now, there are certain things that it's not the apocalypse, like the destruction that of which we're going to read a lot more today, the destruction already not in the apocalypse, but in the Tanakh, certain destruction of the whole earth made by Yahweh as we know it. Of course, that is not going to be fulfilled. We're not even going to change it. It's just not going to be fulfilled, because the very same Tanakh, or the Tanakh itself, says that before the day of the wrath comes, which will not take place such a day, he sends the prophet Elijah, which stops the day of the wrath. That if he were to not come, the prophet Elijah, that is, then yes, there would be a wrath that the whole world believes that will happen. The thing is that Yahweh, in the way of writing things and in the way of concealing the truths, he told it to us that Elijah causes for the day of the wrath of Yahweh to not take place. And if Elijah were to not come, then the day of Yahweh would take place. And if the day of Yahweh takes place, then no inhabitant on earth is left alive. So then, whoever Elijah might be, if I were a Christian and there's a Christian listening to me, it doesn't matter who Elijah is, but that such Elijah will stop the destruction of Yahweh, because it's also written that before that day of the wrath of Elohim takes place, then he sends the prophet Elijah. And he doesn't send him to give a message of conversion to the world, so that the world converts and they deserve of not receiving the wrath. No, not that. Absolutely not. That is not the subject here. It's not that Elijah comes to convert the world, and Yahweh says like Jonah, and Yahweh says, wow, the work of Elijah was marvelous. And he made the whole world repent. He united the whole world in one way of worshiping. No, that's not what he says about Elijah. Absolutely, that is not the work of Elijah. So then, those that want to leave, of course, there is nobody here holding you back. The truth, you have to see everyone by his own merits. The scripture is very clear when it says that Yahweh has a great day of destruction readied. We've read it in many different chapters, and today we'll read it in different chapters, without even going to the apocalypse. what it's already written in the Tanakh. So then the day of the wrath is the day of the final destruction of humanity, is the day of the destruction of the earth. But it says, as in some contracts where you believe everything that is good, and there's little black, little tiny line that nobody reads and says, oh, this has this. It has 50-year guarantee, and below it says, if you don't register the product, if a professional does not install it authorized by us, if you don't do this or that, then it is all annulled. So then you'll say, oh, it is guaranteed. It is, and when you go on, did you read the small print? It said that it had to be installed by a professional. Who installed it? You did? Oh no, it is void. But I read it. Yeah, you have to read the little tiny print. And the little tiny print says, the huge letters say, destruction, day of wrath. I'm going to have wrath upon men. Men will all be destroyed. Heaven burned, the earth left desolate. And below it says, but I'm going to send Elijah and he will stop the day. Nobody reads that. Nobody could care less about that because they didn't read the small print. And the small print is always not at the beginning but at the end of the contract. And where is the promise that Elijah stops the destruction of the day of the wrath? Where is it? Where is that small print? It is in the last text of the contract of the Tanakh. The whole entire Tanakh, destruction, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to make you disappear, delete you, and this and that. And below in the small print says, but before the day of the wrath that I spoke of in this whole chapter, I'm going to send the prophet Elijah. He will change everything. That is the small print in the end of it all, and it ends there. And if I don't send him, he says, it'll all end with a curse. Complete annihilation. That small print, the Christians don't read it because they don't even understand who Elijah is. They don't understand. They're waiting for a Jesus. They are waiting for a rapture, and they don't know that an Elijah has to come. They don't know it because they didn't read the contract, and the contract is that, precisely. None of this will take place because it is conceived. What is guaranteed is the death and destruction of the world, and below that it says, unless I send Elijah. If Elijah comes, then there's no destruction by Yahweh. That's it, it's over. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's as simple as that. So then those that want to leave can leave. Because to top it off, they leave me messages and audios that make me laugh. They tell me, Christian, I forgive you and ask God to forgive you for having doubted his word. They tell me all kinds of things. People that have been judges, I don't understand. It goes way past what I can comprehend. I mean, whatever, I don't care. Let us go and let's study another chapter, but let us congratulate those that have had birthdays this week. Albelis Yanisbel Mendoza Baez, the Dominican Republic. Andy Abraham, Guatemala. Araceli Calderon, Mexico. Juan Daniel Duque, Spain. Wilfredo Aliesquis, Panama. Elizabeth, James, or James, however they mention it, Panama. Speaking about James, which is the founder of Colombia. Don't you want to go to Boca, James? We're waiting for you. Cesar Ruiz, the US of A, and Pedro C, Argentina. For each and every one of you, a great big hug on our behalf and a very happy birthday, and maybe the very last birthday under the system of Babylon. Last greeting, unless you get in touch with us and you say, no, none whatsoever. We're still firm here in the truth. Up until now, everything that I've greeted, there's not one that has come to tell us, hey, why did you mention me there? Thank you. We're mentioning a birthday, but it'll be your last one unless you report yourself. Until now, there's been no reports. And we continue like this, we're going to have only 2 or 3 in a year or 2. Daniel Bernal Martinez, the US of A, and Josue Ortiz Chile, a very happy birthday to both of you. If you report yourselves, then we'll keep you on the list, and if not, no matter, we send you a great big hug on your birthday. Very well. As you've already seen, if you've seen, last Shabbat, we've baptized Uriel, which was a very beautiful ceremony. We loved it. So then, if you didn't see it, if you missed it, Leslie published a video on her timeline and in my timeline. It's not on YouTube, so then those that didn't see the baptism of Uriel, you can go to our timeline, both Leslie's and mine. I think you also added it in the official LVE Truth, right? And those that are not in the Eternal Truth, they can see it in our timeline or Leslie's timeline. Uriel's baptism. So then it was rather very, very beautiful. Uriel wanted to be baptized. That's been some time ago that he's been trying to. So then we chose that date of last Shabbat. So then welcome, Uriel. Congratulations for your baptism. Very well. I'd like to remind you, like I always do, that if you have some problem, physical, emotional, they're always emotional, that is, we have a free service that in turn it is very expensive if it's required by people that dedicate themselves to this, but we dedicate ourselves to this and we do it for free. Angelina's consult, which is the consult of the divine medicine per se, and it is absolutely free. How do you get in touch with her? Below in the description of this video, you'll find Angelina's Facebook. You write to her, and she will give you a consult call. Very many thanks to those that remember and they collaborate with her in this ministry. Very well. Shema Israel. YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our Elohim, Yahweh is one. This secret, also out loud, because it's a secret that it's had in the scriptures clearly, and mainly, and the whole world knows, they're of those things that are incredible to see and not see, because it tells you that Yahweh is only one being. It's not three, it's not two, it is one. So then, when that enters into our mind and it is accepted as a truth, the whole entire story and the biblical interpretation thereof, which we may have had up until that point, is invalidated. And I'm talking about completely invalidated. So invalidated that it is necessary to be born again. That it's why it's so difficult to abandon that zone of comfort, zone of commodity, and to restudy and re-understand everything, because this text, well understood, the Shema, makes you change everything that you had of the scriptures, everything, absolutely everything. Nothing is left standing, nothing. It turns Christianity into water, and it sinks with this belief, because Christianity is based in three persons. And if they are not openly declared Trinitarian, they accept that Jesus is the Son of God. And with that alone, they are in the wrong path. And they are in the path of not understanding anything, even less the small print of the contract. So then, it is fundamental, in order to change the mind, to understand the Shema. Within what I was told this week, people that are leaving, they quote and quote Paul to me, and I'll declare it again. Paul has very good things. Paul has things that are give or take, and things that are really wrong, outright. Paul is not my guide. Paul served 2,000 years ago in his time in order to start to get out of Judaism. But Paul did not understand the truth. Paul never had the truth, what the truth is. He never had it. just like no other human being ever had the truth. That is why Yeshua says, and ye shall know the truth. He's telling his disciples, not you. He's not telling you. He's telling his own disciples that he had in front of him. He says, you, John, Matthew, Jacob, and those of Judas, and all the rest, fishermen. He says, you, boys, will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Enough to ask him, so then what do we know now that is true? And he would have said nothing, actually nothing. That is why I tell you, you are imprisoned. You are prisoners to your ideas, your interpretations. You're entangled in a net like a good fisherman, but you are the fish. You are fishermen that have been fished, and the entire Bible is the same thing. So then, so as to begin to dialogue with me in a theological discussion, you have to understand the Shemah, or else I'm not even gonna begin to discuss anything. If you don't understand the Shema, there's nothing else to speak. We're talking about one God, or two beings that are one God, or are we talking about three beings that are one God, which is the same thing, that it's two or three, it's not one. Once you start to understand, and I'm talking about truly understand, because I've noticed in these, 16 years, 17 years that I've been speaking, ever since I switched my profession, I've noticed that there are different levels of comprehension. Many people say, yes, I understand everything. But with that phrase that says I understand everything, that they don't really understand much. Because they use it as a cane or a crutch to demonstrate that they understand everything that I say. They can understand many things, but they don't really comprehend them. And if they don't comprehend them, then they cannot be assimilated and established as a unique truth. So then, when a person wants to argue something with me, or for me to get tangled up with them, they're not going to achieve it. Personally, they won't achieve it. In my space, I say whatever I want. But personally, I'm not going to pay attention to them when they don't understand this truth. This truth is Yahweh is one. Once we understand that Yahweh is one, then he cannot have a son, Yahweh cannot. He cannot have a divine companion, Yahweh cannot. He was alone, completely alone, absolutely alone. Once we start with that base of truth, we move on to the next truth, which destroys Christianity. That is why I could care less what Paul says. He has helped us to open our eyes already from 2,000 years ago up until now, but he doesn't have all the truth, because Paul is not Elijah. The only one that brings the truth into the world, the only one that stops the destruction of the world, because that's the part of creation. That's the way. That's what Yahweh says. It's Elijah. So then, if I am new in this Christianity and at least learn something, I learn to read the little fine print of the contract. Then already Paul is minuscule, and I'm talking minuscule, next to Elijah. Because Paul does not save anyone. Paul does not stop anyone's wrath, and Paul does not understand anything. Elijah, who comes right before, precisely before the end of times, is the one that has the truth. So then one says, if we could identify Elijah, and if we could identify him like a Christian, if I were a Christian and understanding a little bit, not like when I was a Christian, because obviously, but if I were a Christian and I listened to this preaching, it would open my eyes to say, oh, you're right. Because here, the one that's important is Elijah. That's the important one. The rest is not. The rest, little figures. They're all dead. Elijah's the only one alive at the end of times. The only one alive, because he stops Yahweh's wrath, because the guy's alive. All the rest are dead. And all the rest did not achieve. It was not their function, that's clear. But I, as a Christian, if I follow Paul, and Paul is my instructor, Paul doesn't take me anywhere, because if Paul was the good one, why send Elijah? Isn't Paul? And then Paul already, back in the century or in the 5th day of creation, Paul would have already stopped Yahweh's wrath. What if I would said, look, I sent you Paul the prophet, and he will stop Yahweh's wrath? One would say, let us look for Paul, because he has the secret. No. Look, what if he were to say, Yahweh's wrath, I'm Trinitarian, talking to Trinitarian, the wrath of Yahweh, the Father, comes upon all people, but the only one that can stop it is the Son Jesus, Jesus Christ. Does it say that in the scripture? No. They would pay anything for it to say that, but it doesn't say that. So then, having our view in the Jesus of Christianity is no good. It is also not good. It's no good to me, because that Jesus does not stop the wrath of Yahweh, of the Father, because it would seem to be that they're in cahoots. So then who the fuck stops it? So then with those words, you scare away the Christians that were doing okay, and then you shoot that word that sounds, oh, this guy cannot have the Spirit of God. Well, I do have it, and those are the correct words. Paul never stopped, nor could he ever stop anything. Jesus, the Christ of 2,000 years ago, also evidently can stop anything. It is written that the only one that stops the wrath of Yahweh and is alive is Elijah. It is more than clear. I mean, it's absolutely clear. So then, not giving an opinion like the past prophets. Exactly, not quoting anybody. He's unique. He's unique. He's unique. As unique as Paul.
With the very logic and wisdom for the future.
Exactly, with his own doctrine and interpretation, which he does not quote completely. Then why send him?
Or else the others would have saved, right?
Exactly. I mean, the others didn't save anyone. So then, if I were a Christian, I would say, there is a secret at last. Well, there's the secret. We have to look for Elijah at whatever cost. Who's Elijah? Who's Elijah? There's the secret. So then, don't quote Paul to me, because Paul is no one in these times.
Who also thinks different to those prophets.
Exactly. Elijah doesn't come to repeat Paul's words, because that's why Paul said them. Paul's going to say he's copying me. Why did you send Elijah if you're repeating my words? He's Paulist. No, Elijah's not Paulist. He's also not of the law of Moses. He's not that either. Elijah is unique. He's completely unique, as unique that he says in the creation of Yahweh, right? That it's so unique that he says, okay, this guy stops all the plans that is written about destruction. How about that? That's it. He doesn't come to remind them or teach them all the other things that the rest said. No. Absolutely not. So then, if you understand that, one can have faith that if he finds Elijah, no matter what the rest said, that is clear. The day we find Elijah, we don't care about the rest. That's it. It's as simple as that. For the new Christians, let us continue looking for Elijah. Where is Elijah? Very well. The first base in order to find Elijah is the word Eliah, which is the name of Elijah. What does Eliah mean? Eliah means as simply as Elohim, or Yah is Elohim. We could even expand it. Yah is my Elohim. But it doesn't really say it is my Elohim, because literally it says Yah is Elohim. What does the word Elijah say if I want to take it not to a title, symbolic or powerful title of what Elijah represents? Elijah comes to teach that Yahweh is one alone. That God is Yahweh. That there is no Christ Jesus, Son of God, that God gave unto the world. No, that's not what Elijah teaches. Paul teaches that. All the disciples teach that, but Elijah doesn't teach that. Because Elijah has a title which says Elohim is Yah. No one else. That is why not even the name Elijah was literal. It is symbolic of something magnificent, which is the Shema. Elijah means Yahweh is Elohim, or Elohim is Yahweh. And Yahweh is only one person, period. So then, as a Christian, don't go and seek refuge in Paul. Don't go and seek refuge in everything else that you knew, because it is no good anymore. Just like that, it is no good anymore. From the moment in which Elijah appears, it is no good. Is it logical what I'm saying, or is it not? It is no good anymore, because if the other were good still, then what is the sense for Elijah to come? Elijah has to enter into something directly new. He cannot bring because the other guy said, the whole world does that. Elijah has to bring something new, something unique, something directly different. That is what Elijah brings. And beginning with his name, Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. So then, my most esteemed Christian, Jesus, the Son of God, does not exist of 2,000 years ago as a real, literal son, or symbolic, or co-eternal with the Father. It's no good. If somebody came to earth, and you believe that someone came to earth like I do, if someone took flesh in a human being that actually was not a human being, but really it was something superior, there's only one being that can do that. There were two. There were one to send, and there one stayed. There was only one, and that one alone was the only one there is, Yahweh. So then who came to this earth? Yahweh did. The whole entire world will know this truth and understand it. The whole world, right now, it's not the moment for them to understand it. No one is condemned for not understanding it, because Yahweh closed their heart in understanding and gave them a false understanding, which closes them and closes their eyes to this truth, but is the truth that is the most main and brilliant of them all. Only one being, that whole being, came to earth, made himself be called the Son of Elohim, and with that only being went back to wherever he went back, then that Christ Jesus, as we knew him, stopped existing. So then, the coming of Christ Jesus, or the Mashiach, does not correspond to the being that came 2,000 years ago. The Mashiach will be the only Mashiach that had never come to earth before. And it is a human Mashiach that is the Mashiach. Everything which Yahweh did in the name of the Son of God, in the name of the Mashiach, is a representation, prophetically speaking, of the Mashiach would do. That is why the Jews, in the Jewish religion, they say, but you Christians call Jesus the Mashiach, but he didn't do or fulfill anything that the Mashiach has to do. Nothing. And it's true. It is absolutely true. Because when the Mashiach does come, then all the corresponding words of the Mashiach of the Tanakh will be fulfilled. The one that came was not the Mashiach, it was Yahweh, which is very different. Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of him to conceal the word, yet honor of the king is to search out the word. The word is concealed, and maybe you think, if you comprehend that everything that I've said at the beginning, why does Christian waste so much time with this? Why, instead of starting with a subject that's already, that my mind wants to know new things and all the rest, why does it waste so much time on things that we've accepted already? Well, maybe you accepted it, and you have to see to what level you accepted it. We'd have to see. I cannot measure it. But there are many people that have yet to understand this concept. And Elijah comes mainly to teach this concept. It is the main concept. So then he has to remind it and make it fleshed with you. Make it flesh with you. It has to become nature in you. That is why the text of the invitation says what? What does the text of the invitation say? Pay attention to my corrections, and I will fill you with my spirit. I will make my thoughts be known unto you. That right there takes time. Because one can believe to accept things and comprehend things, but in the end of it all, you don't comprehend them, and all of a sudden you read the text that makes noise to you, like for example, but in my Bible it says, let us make men in our image, in our likeness. It cannot be that there was only one alone. It cannot be. And in the Tower of Babel it says, let us go down. Let us go down. How many were there? Only one? More than one? And Elijah says, who will go for us? Who would go for us? It's typical text that the Trinitarians use in the scriptures, which I've explained already, and I've given you a fabulous explanation about who we are. If you want to see it, if you will to accept it, of course, Paul doesn't say that. The fishermen even less. The prophets didn't understand the thing. And the pastors who interpret and all the rest of the churches cannot. Who is that? Let us descend. Who is the one that says, let us make in our, who is that? Because later on it says, and God made. I've given you an explanation, and you can accept it or not. It is clear. It is this concept, Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Hator. We've got a dual nature, just like God, a dual nature. We have a nature that is inclined towards evil and a nature that is inclined towards good. Yahweh himself divided himself in two male goats. One he called Azazel and the other one he called Yahweh. Also, he divided himself, saying, I am the Son of God, and in turn, you perfectly well know that he was God. It's as if he is divided. It is an ambiguity that is also in us as well, just like that. It is also in us in every aspect. Absolutely every aspect. Conscious, subconscious, we're the very image of him. Very well. That is why I speak about this, so that it starts to be recorded up here. It has to be recorded by fire. But they will all repeat this, those that left this week, those that had never even listened to anything. For example, they also added a comment that really demonstrates that you listen to me, but you're not willing to understand or not even comprehend or accept what I said. For example, this comment, let's see it here. Where was it? Just wait a minute. I want to go to the comment of the last video. A comment. Which are people that listen to me, and they always listen to me. They listen to me always. Because many times they comment very well, and other times they don't comment at all well. But it's okay. It is very well, because you can read the comment and know what is in the heart of the people, right? Hold on. I'm choosing. Let me see. Comment number. Top one? No, I don't want the top one. I want the newest first. Let's see if I find it quickly. I want to read it because I didn't give it a like or heart. Typical of me. When something for me is really, when I see, here it is. It is from Luis or Luisette, 1977. Abel. the 1977 Able, it says transgender football. I don't know what he's referring to with transgender football, but if he means men that switched over to women and they play with girls, then yeah, I see that wrong in that aspect because they're taking advantage. I don't believe in now if they're all boys who became girls and they make a championship with them, then I see that okay, that's okay. But they have to be all transgender. Don't come at me with them playing with the girls. No, the girls, the boys, and the transgender, let us make a different championship. See who will watch it. I won't watch it, but maybe you will watch it and they'll watch it. Just like the other day, I was watching a game of amputees. And yes, of course, those that have two legs play there? No. No. So then they were all gamers with only one leg, and they would play with crutches, and the goalie had to have only one arm. He had both legs and only one arm. He would block only with one arm, and the players one leg. They'll have the right to play. They didn't ask to have their legs to be cut off or their arm, but they have fun that way, and they get upset, and they kick each other with their crutches. They get upset, because if you use the crutchet, it's like an extension of the hand. You can't use the crutch only with the only leg you have. And they kick very well. They even kick very well from many players from Mexico. Because when one from Mexico, they send it out into the tribune, out of the stadium, but these guys would kick very well. I would see this selection from the amputees, they would beat the Mexican selection. But taking out all the jokes that I make, there's no Mexicans listening to me either way. It's all Argentinian. But the transgender, let them play with transgenders. That would be perfect. Transgender soccer. Champions in the fictitious world. What is fictitious? Do you mean fictitious? Do you mean because fictitious sounds like something else, like fisting? I don't know. Let's say fictitious. Champions in the fictitious world. I don't know what he's referring to. There will not be peace for the wicked. Who says this? That Luiseto say it? Who says there's no peace? What is he quoting? Are you quoting Elijah? Because if you're not quoting Elijah, all the rest of the clowns that left before are not valid. If they were valid, why is he going to send Elijah? So then, look for Elijah. Elijah will tell you whether that's true or not. If Elijah says that, then it's valid. If Elijah says the contrary, then it's not valid. All the rest, there will not be peace for the wicked. That's a good one because that's from Iron Maiden. No peace for the... No, it's not sinners. No, there's a different word. There's a different word. For the wicked. No peace for the wicked. Right, for the wicked. Yeah, give or take. No peace for the wicked. If Iron Maiden says it, then that's fine. I mean, if that's what you were referring to, that's fine. He that did not believe in the truth has already been condemned. Okay, Luisito. Wait a minute. Luisito. Let's stop a minute here. Hold your horses. What does it mean to believe in the truth? Where is the truth? Where's the truth? Do you have the truth? He that does not believe in Luisito, he that does not believe in the little Christians, he that does not believe whom? He that does not believe me? What is the truth? Who made that question? What is the truth? It is written in the Bible. And they asked him, what is the truth? It is written. Who asked him? And to whom? Tell me quickly. I mean, you bore me. No, not the fishermen. They said, what is the truth? Wow. No one knows who asked whom. Pontius Pilate asked Yeshua, what is the truth? And what did this you do know. What did Yeshua ask him? Respond. Come on, tell me, you know this. What did Yeshua answer? No. Nothing. If Yahweh didn't respond to anything, he just kept silence. He looked at Pontius Pilate and says, you can fuck off. I mean, not even he can tell me the truth. His disciples, but didn't his disciples didn't ask him for anything. But Pontius Pilate didn't listen to him. He was just there. When Pontius Pilate says, tell me the truth, what is the truth? Yeshua says, okay, then scourge him. Yeah, scourge the son of a bitch, scourge him. If he can't tell me the truth, let's see if you put the text on there. Gabriel put it there. John 18:38 says, then Pilate says, what is the truth? And once he said this, he went out into the Jews once again and says, I haven't found any crime in him. Of course, if you read between the lines, Yeshua didn't answer him anything. Yeshua didn't tell him anything. What is the truth? But here, this Luisete guy, right? Luisete knows because they didn't accept the truth. Don't be ridiculous, Luisete. What is the truth? Tell me, what is the truth? Is it your truth, Luisete? It's what you believe as the truth. If they don't accept your truth, then yeah, they should be condemned. What is your truth? But I mean, think a little bit and stop to condemn the people. What is your truth, Luisete? What church do you belong to? Your truth, was it heard by the whole world? Exactly, and who are they who rejected you, Lisette? And I know that, I believe because you've commented many times here that you don't belong to any church. So then, if you don't belong to any church, I ask Lisette, what is the truth? And don't tell me the Bible, because the Bible is there to be interpreted. Don't tell me the Bible, because the Bible is not the truth. It contains the truth concealed. So it's not the truth. What is the truth? If you say, because you listen to the eternal truth, and you say, well, the truth is the eternal truth. Okay, then the eternal truth does not condemn anyone. So then also for you, I want you to be clear with me, with the whole world. Luisete, for you, also the eternal truth is not the truth. Because you are here correcting the eternal truth with your truth. What you think. He says, he that did not believe in the truth has already been condemned. The apocalypse is for sure, or else they don't learn. So then, your way of them understanding and learning is to send the apocalypse in your version. What your version be? How are they going to learn? By killing everybody? Is that how they're going to learn? That is your way that they have to learn. But, I mean, Luisete, you haven't ever listened to me that all the people act the way they do because they were fed that way. They are like a tree, which they're trees who were planted in places where they have no water or little water, and they have no food or little food. I'm referring to minerals and the things which the tree needs. All the nutrients in a tree which is planted with lots of water, or somebody takes care of it and gives it its nutrients, gives it everything, takes care of it, protects them from the bugs, talks to them and everything, and that tree gives lots of fruit. What a good tree. And the other is an accursed tree that has to be cut down. No, absolutely not. It isn't so. It isn't so. When Yahweh cursed the fig tree, there you see the apex of the injustice that he was demonstrated unto the whole world, and you didn't even notice. The scripture says that when Yeshua, who's Yahweh, got close unto the fig tree demonstrates many things. He, because he's Elohim, he should already know if there's fig tree or not from afar. Second of all, it says because it wasn't time yet. The Bible says that. The Bible says the fisherman wrote that there wasn't the time yet. But he got near, and since it didn't have fruit, he cursed it. What did the poor fig tree do? Unrighteously, it dried. It dried up. Unfairly so. Unfairly so because she was going to give time in her time. But it wasn't her time. And the poor fig tree didn't get to give fruit, and it dried up. It's talking about Israel, talking about many things. But I'm going way past everything that he ever explained. There you see justice or injustice, completely like everything that Elohim has done from the very beginning. It's an injustice after another. The victory says, but stop, I was going to give beautiful fruit and he dried me up. Yeah, he dried you up. The Lord was hungry. He was hungry, and there was no fruit, and it wasn't its time. And they can even, I don't know if did Gabi post it? He didn't post it? No. He didn't post it. If he does, okay, Mark 13, 11, 13, and 14, and it says, and seen from afar a fig tree that had leaves, he went to see if he found something in her, but when he got to her, he didn't find anything. But it was not the time of fig trees. It was not the time of fig trees. Then Jesus said unto the fig tree, never again eat any fruit from thee. And the disciples heard it. And in the morning they saw that the fig tree had been dried up from the root. So then, my most esteemed Luisete, how are the people going to learn from all the evil things they learned or they did if they were born not knowing the truth? They lived without knowing the truth, and they died not knowing the truth. But I want you to understand, Luisete, something, because maybe your mind, you have not yet grasped what you just said. You think that the only evil ones are the ones that are alive now? That's the question. The only evil ones are the ones that are now alive? Because according to your concept, when I read something, for example, it says, I'm going to read it if you had written this correctly, okay? There will not be peace for the wicked. He that did not believe in the truth has already been condemned. The apocalypse is for sure, or else they don't learn. Heart. Okay, my most esteemed Luisete, all those that have already died, I have to tell you the news, they will not go through the apocalypse because they've already died. The apocalypse is developed upon those that are living. Do we agree or not? So then you're saying that they have, those that are alive have to learn, and what about those that are dead? There's no apocalypse for them? When you stop to think, it says all those that died and have been spared from the apocalypse. And when I was a Christian, in my mind, that has always been very, I'm not going to say, it was very deep, reflexive, and thinkative, per se. I would say, well, since I don't follow all the rules that I have to follow, it'd be good that I die before the apocalypse, because then I'll be spared from the apocalypse, because I was an Adventist and I had many rules. And of course, I'd like to smoke. I would do things that were not allowed in the religion. So then I would say, what if, and this one I was young, okay, mind you? Obviously, I'm going to be lost, but I don't want to be in the most painful manner. So then if I die before that, I'll be spared the apocalypse. I'll just skip it completely, and then later on I'll just repent. I'll just accept Jesus as the Son of God, and then the lake of fire, since I'm not that evil, then I won't last that long, and that's it. That's the way my mind would think on a permanent basis. And I would be upset against Yahweh since I was little, mind you, since I was little. because my dad almost crushed me with his truck. My cousin came and pushed me out of the way as my dad was going back without even looking. I was sitting there where my dad was going to park, and my dad was coming back, parking the car, going backwards in reverse, and I was sitting there right there on the sidewalk, and he was coming back, and my cousin came yelling. My dad didn't hear her, and she came and pushed me out of there. I was a baby. I don't know what I was doing there. I don't know what my mom was thinking, but I was there. But look at what my mind would get to think. Why didn't my dad run me over? That would be so great. I would already have eternal life right there without doing anything. I didn't have to fight against this, against that, to be told that this is bad, this is pernicious. Wow. How beautiful, because I had learned in the Adventist church that the kids, especially those who are sons of Adventists, they would go directly to heaven innocent. They'd go directly to heaven. I would say, what bad luck of mine. I never said, I wish I hadn't been born. Just like the other prophets. No, not that. But I said, if my dad would have run me over, well, I was saved. Saved right there. One gets to think deeply about that. When you think deeply about Luisete, but Luisete is saying that the apocalypse is coming to teach the people. Let's read what Luisete said, so that when you write, you can write more intelligently. It says, transgender football, transgender, champions in the world, fictitious. It says fictitious, so I'll read a little bit. Okay, there will not be peace for the wicked, Iron Maiden. I added that. He that did not believe in my truth, Luisete's truth, has already been condemned. The apocalypse is for sure, or else they won't learn. So then the apocalypse comes for them to learn, Luisete. It's interesting because with the apocalypse, no one understands anything. The apocalypse kills everyone. They end up in the lake of fire, according to how you interpret it, punished, burned, with sores all over their body, marked, tortured. And that's how they learn? No, because the apocalypse says, and that in all, it says right there in the plagues, and that in all, they continue to worship the demons. Does it not say that or not in the Bible? I'll read it to you. Let's see if somebody learns with the apocalypse interpreted that way. Nobody learns. The Apocalypse 16, look at what it says. Look at what it says in this plague. Apocalypse 16. Let's see. It says, for example, the fourth cup, the fourth plague, and the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given to him to scorch men with fire. It'd be good to learn. Luisete says, and the men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God that hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. What does the fifth one says? The fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains. They didn't learn, and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. The sixth plague says what? Same thing. They repented not. And the seventh one, the last one, what's it say? They also did not repent. The same thing is all the same thing. The punishment is not there for people to change lies for the truth. The truth is not learned through punishment. So then it is rather nefarious to say that the one that did not believe in the truth, and what might the truth be? Is it your truth? If it is your truth, I recommend that you start to speak for you to call yourself the truth. Luisete is the truth, and that those that don't listen to Luisete will go to hell, or pardon me, will suffer the apocalypse so that they learn. They that don't listen to Luisete. What happens with Luis Sete is that he's a person that has not comprehended a single word that has come out of my mouth. The world does not need more destruction. With all the destruction that the world has suffered, and the death and the torture, and all the types of evils that Yahweh has sent to this earth, man has not learned. Because he cannot learn when Yahweh does not give him the truth. He never gave it to him. He deceived Adam and Eve. He was the serpent. It was all a theatrical work of deceit. He deceived Noah. He deceived those that lived there before the flood, and those that after the flood, and those in the Tower of Babel. He deceived everyone. So then don't pretend, don't ever say, they did not accept the truth. You know who will bring the truth to this earth? The Mashiach. That is where all the people will say, along with Luis Sete, Jeremiah 16:19 through 21, Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples, all of them, from the ends of the earth. So then it says all of them. And shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, because they did not accept the truth. Luis Sete would say, no. They'll all say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there's no avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, then they are not gods. That is why, behold, I shall make it be known unto them, and this time I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. What are they going to know? That there's only one Elohim who's called Yahweh. They'll all know it. And who are the fathers? The fathers are all that wrote the Bible. First father of them all that is written here is Moses. Moses, deceitful father. Then you follow up with Joshua. And then all the rest of the prophets, the major and minor, including David, including the disciples, including Paul. And that don't include Yahweh because he didn't write a thing. The only thing he wrote, Moses broke. It is the only thing that he wrote, and Moses came and broke it. And when he wrote it again, it was Moses. First of all, I don't know, because it was a copy and I didn't see it. I don't like the copies a lot. And the original was broken. The only thing that Yahweh wrote with his finger, apparently the only technology that he has is his finger. We stopped writing with our finger a long time ago. When I was a baby, I would write my finger like on the sand, but then we invented things to write on the walls. That is where I would write. You know, when you don't know how to sign, you sign with your finger, your thumb, you make a sign. Apparently it was his best method to write with, and the only thing he wrote, Moses broke it. So that's it. Yahweh didn't write a thing. Just like that. Yahweh didn't write a thing. And what he wrote, what man wrote, is all lies. Absolutely. When the peoples will say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, they recognize that every biblical prophet is a liar, and that is the truth. It is an absolute truth. Every biblical prophet lied. Why did they lie? Because God gave them a lie to say. It's not that they were liars. No. They thought they were saying the truth. They thought they had the truth, like Luis Sete. If Luis Sete were to write a book, he would say, this is the truth. That is how Paul wrote it, the truth. That is how Peter wrote it, this is the truth. And that is how James, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and all the rest that you already know wrote. So then, who is not a liar? And to top it off, the Bible in small print, it says every man is a liar. That's it. And in even smaller print, it says, because the father of Israel is the father of lies. Who's the father of Israel? The Christians are going to say Satan is the father of Israel. So then Satan owns Israel. What did Yahweh have anything to do there, or Yeshua, or anybody? He came to the wrong people. He says his father, your father, is a murderer. He is the father of lies. Wait, who is the father of Israel? There's only one, the one that formed him, the one that created him. He says, I am your father. I called you from Israel, from Egypt. If any dumb Christian, because they're pretty stupid to accept this, know that they changed and they accepted Satan as their father. When did the Jews accept Satan as their father? It doesn't say stupid shit. Yeshua is telling them clearly, your father is a murderer since the very beginning. The only murderer from the very beginning. We're not people to kill, but the murderer from the beginning is Yahweh, who murdered us all. He says, you will die, you will die, and now you will die. And yes, he killed. Who killed in the flood? You're going to tell me that the people were evil? That is what Yahweh tells you. The man was evil? No, the Bible doesn't say that at all, not in the very least. What it does say is that Yahweh killed everyone, but he killed everyone, that is. So then who is the murderer from the very beginning? They're going to say, oh, because Cain. Don't say stupid shit. Absolutely. I think that if Cain killed Abel, I risk it to think that Yahweh wanted to write the story that way and influenced him. Satan entered in him, and he got so upset. I'm going to speak about something I'm going to speak about. He got so upset and killed him. Have you proved that Yahweh has his hands clean in the murder of Abel? I can assure you that his hands are not clean. Because if he wanted to have had his hands clean, he would have presented himself, and since he presented himself, he said no, or saved. Many things he could have done, many things, but he didn't do so. When he wants to save someone, he saves them. But when he wants somebody to die, they die. Just like that, very clear. In fact, when he said, and if somebody wants to avenge Cain, in other words, he put a penalty, if anybody wants to avenge him, he says he'll be avenged 70 times 7. And then the story of the redskins, he put up, Mark says, don't touch Cain, or did he not? And he blessed them with sons, with wives. He founded cities. He was very blessed by God, but the God creator. So then, my most esteemed Luisete, I'm going to tell you very well, very clearly, don't say stupid shit. If you don't believe in this ministry of the eternal truth, then don't be commenting, because you're going to look like ridiculous and will continue to just abstain from it, because in your impulse, because of trying to wake someone, I'm going to make you look so ridiculous, because you write so incorrectly, and what you say is stupid shit, makes no logic, makes no sense. And so then, the only one that looks bad is you. Now, if you want to learn and write things that are positive. The apocalypse will not be fulfilled in the way that the Christians believe. Absolutely not. On this earth, there won't be destruction. There won't be destruction. We are absolutely the only ministry that is speaking and will speak about this subject, that this world will not receive more destruction. We've already had enough destruction for 6,000 years. Very well. So then, who will say the peoples? What are the peoples going to say? Only last was the inheritance of our fathers. Okay. Malachi 2:17, that is why we have the little octopus here. Let's go here. Hold on a minute. Give us a like. Yes, give us a like. We have the octopus here. I'm going to see how many likes we have. And we've got King Kong. Let's see how many likes we've got. I didn't start with a prayer. Okay, let's start. I didn't start with a prayer? Wow. Okay, well, prayer at the end. Yeah, we'll do it at the end. 280 live likes and 247 watching, and the number is becomes smaller and smaller. That's the way it has to be. It's got to be that way. And the last one, turn off the lights, and that's it. Malachi 2:17 says, Ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and you say, what have we wearied him? In that you say that whomever doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? That's why they're here saying, where is the Elohim of justice? We already know where the Elohim of justice is, but you still haven't made him Elohim. You have to convert him into Elohim so that he starts to develop his task as the Elohim of justice. LVE is the Elohim of justice and needs to be anointed by Yahweh. Very well. Moving on to the questions. First question. Is competitiveness good to apply? Let me explain myself. Since we are in the Copa America, and good thing it'll end tomorrow because it was boring, I did not really get hooked at all. Just a little bit, little tiny bit, but it didn't really hook me. I can't wait for Boca to play again because they all bored me completely. They bored me completely. But oh well, it's over. There's been other cups, Copa Americas that I've enjoyed a lot, but this one really, the very last one that Argentina won in Brazil, I didn't even look at it. I didn't even watch it because I had abstained completely and abstracted. Is that correctly? With a B, right? Abstracted? Abstracted? I had abstracted so much from soccer that I didn't even watch the games. I didn't watch anything, so then I didn't even enjoy it. It was the time of the pandemic and all the rest. I didn't enjoy anything at all. And this one, to tell the truth, it was okay. It was okay. It's not that I enjoyed it, to tell the truth, but it passed. It cleared, and the Euro Cup also, another one in my point of view, that's so boring, completely boring. So boring are the games, but good thing that we have Spain in the final, and I hope that Spain can defeat the Pirates. Although Spain, they're pretty Pirates. For them to defeat the English Pirates, that's all they hope for. England should not win anything. And with the final of Argentina-Colombia, since no Colombian listen to me, they're all Argentinians. I'm only talking to Argentinians, and oh well, we hope we win. If Colombia defeats us, that's okay, because we've always had a very good vibe with Colombia. Tell the truth, very good vibe with Colombia. And so then, I mean, we have the rivalry in the game, but it's not that we have anger, no, absolutely anything. It's also not like the Uruguayans versus Argentinians. Now, the Argentinians versus the Uruguayans, things happen that are sometimes are incomprehensible. I have lots of love, lots of appreciation to Uruguay. I lived 6 years in Uruguay. It took actual fist fights to get adapted. That's what it took, because Uruguay towards Argentina, tell you the truth, because I clearly understood it because I lived in Uruguay. I felt a part. I had to learn the Uruguayan hymn, the Artiga hymns, everything. I had to have my school there till 5th grade in Uruguay, to 4th grade in Uruguay. In 5th grade, I went back to Argentina, so then I had to learn many things in Uruguay. And Uruguay is a country that's so precious. People in Uruguay are spectacular. As I was raised in Buenos Aires, there was many Uruguayans there, and they feel comfortable there. Uruguayans in Argentina act different than the Uruguayans in Uruguay. When the Uruguayans move to Argentina, they are another Argentinian, and they live well. But when you're in Uruguay and an Argentinian comes along, there's lots of rivalry. Way too much rivalry, because in one way or another, I'm going to say it, and since there's no Uruguayan listening to me, they're all Argentinians, and from Boca, it's all okay. The Uruguayans, they feel As if I'm going to say that very clearly because I clearly know what they feel because they've told me and I've lived there since I was little. It's a complex of inferiority with Argentina because they were a province. And it was thanks to Artigas, Mason in his 33, grade 33, degree 33 in the famous 33 Orientals that for one way or another, a stupid one that because of the government, the world England government, maybe because moved by Yahweh, they separated. Uruguayan is another province of Argentina. That's the way it is, directly. They are. Because we have the very same customs, the very same food, the very same way of thinking, the very same Rio Platense accent. Uruguay is united to what country? Why you? I can identify it, but why the rest of the world, they hear in a Uruguayan and they think it's an Argentinian? And he has to clarify, I'm from Uruguay, okay? I'm from the Celeste. Hold on, I'm from the Celeste. They have an accent that's a bit different for those that have very good ear, or else they sound like an Argentinian. And if you go to Argentina, he sounds Argentinian and all the rest. But they have a complex of inferiority because they're minuscule, they're tiny, they're 3 million. And they have to compete against Argentina. Economically, they are doing better. I was in a time that were their worst. When I went to Uruguay in the year 1975 to 1980, Uruguay was tremendously poor. A lot more than Argentina. The Adventist pastor would earn even 30 times people. In fact, I knew kids there in the school that they would take a piece of bread and they would hunt little snails, common snails, and they would put it there in their bread and eat it. You don't know the misery that I've seen. Because we were in very, very precarious situation. Uruguay's doing okay. They're well off now. And that's what the economists, we don't even need to talk about that. You know about that now. They could be in a better condition than Argentina, many things. But I'm talking about the essence of Uruguayans. They're fantastic people. But compared to Argentina, there's a rivalry. Now, I'm going to say something that all the Uruguayans are going to say, that's a lie. But I'm going to tell you that it's the truth. Of course. You're Argentinians, and you understand me. Every Uruguayan would have wanted to have been Argentinian. Now they're going to kill me. Every Uruguayan would have wished to have been Argentinian, but they were born a Uruguayan, so they're going to defend their colors to the death, obviously, because they are brothers. The Uruguayans and the Argentinians are actually brothers, like no other. Like there's no brotherhood with Chile or Bolivia or with Peru. It isn't there because there is a difference in how we speak culturally, the food, but with Uruguay, wow. You could not even identify, you couldn't tell a Uruguayan apart from an Argentinian, you couldn't. The asado's the same, and they say, our asado's better. Dulce de leche, they say, we invented it. Because Argentina invented it, but they said, no, we invented it. They have 4 stars here. Why does Uruguay have 4 stars? Because it should have 2 only. Because they said no. Because the first 2 cups, the Olympic cups, they were worth like World Cups for us. So then we've got 4. A Uruguayan will say, we are 4 times world champion, and they argue against the FIFA. They have 4 stars. We tell them you have 2, and you won 500 years ago, back when no one existed and it didn't matter, and it was all looked like ass in 1930 and 50. Who could care less about that? No one was alive, or no one was around. Oh, they said no, we have 4 stars. They say. And then they just won a couple cups after that. But that, no. How I would love to live in Uruguay. And it's impressive. Uruguay is precious. And the people are marvelous. And I ended up having great friends and had an excellent time there in Uruguay. So then I can comprehend a little bit better that charrua sentiment. I can comprehend the charrua because that is how you say that the Indians there were charrua. That's how they say it. So then I can comprehend it, a little bit better than the rest of the Argentinians because I live there. But actually, they're our brethren. So then in the rivalry that there is, say in the soccer games, they kill each other. It's not who the better is, but who kicks harder, who doesn't get kicked out wins, because there's lots of attention there. Lots of tension there. That's what happens with brothers. They fight like Abel and Cain, you see. That's the situation. So then I personally preferred not to play against Uruguay, because always with Uruguay, it's war. Playing like the Argentinians would say, you have to play with Uruguay with your knives in your teeth. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the Mar Platense Classic. I would prefer not to play against them. But with Colombia, nothing happens. Once in the stir, they beat once 5-0, and they're happy with that. But we taught them to play. We taught Colombia to play. If they don't recognize it because they don't know about soccer. But we sent Argentinian coaches over there, a whole history of how we taught them to soccer, not with an Argentinian coach, and many Argentinian coaches, starting with Beckerman and with the one that they have now with Lorenzo. We taught Colombia to play that they never had. Colombia is a cafetero country, like they call it, coffee country. They play, I attack, and I don't know who will defend the other guy. I'll attack, and I could care less about anything. They're coffee country, that they play coffee that way with individuality, good plays, but just like they can score you, they'll score you a lot, and that's how Colombia plays. It's always been that way. And the law of the least effort, and that's the way it is. They needed tactic, strategy, and discipline. That can only be done by an Argentinian. There was a reason why there was only Argentinian coaches. There's 8 Argentinian coaches. Okay, Brazil has lots of their own pride, but Brazil wants to be great again. I'm talking to all the Brazilians. If you want to go back to being great, if you want to be great again, you have to hire an Argentinian coach, because the Brazilian player and the Brazilian way of playing is already over. It's not about who has the calecita, who plays like this, little touch. The top of nobody does that. One is more dog than the rest. One is more evil than the rest. Terrible. I've never seen an ugliest Brazilian selection. They play like ass. I mean, with their faces. The futebol back then, the Brazilian futebol was happy. You would play Ronaldinho with always smiling. I mean, don't even mention Ronaldo, the fat guy, a beast. I mean, Pelé. I never saw him live or anything. It was not my time. But all the rest of the players, I mean, Romario, Bebeto. Now, I have to mention one. For the single reason that he has a face that looks like an ass, I would not have him in my team. And supposedly he's the best right now. But the problem of skin that they have, their fight against racism doesn't take him anywhere. So then the struggle that this guy has makes him the worst player of Brazil, in my point of view. And for me, Brazil plays horribly. They lost their essence, but what happens now? It's no longer the soccer, the futebol bonito, as they called it, the pretty soccer. Now they play it very differently, quickly. It's quick passes, deep passes. It has to be a vertical team. And if to that you can add good plays, taquitos as they call it, that's fine. That's why Brazil cannot be a champion of anything again as long as they play like Brazil plays. They need someone to teach them to play soccer, because if, for example, there's no Brazilian listening to me. They're all Argentinians. But Brazil, you look at the Brazilian selection, and it doesn't transmit anything to me, because they don't even know what the fuck they're playing. They play literally to whatever comes up. You grab the ball, and if something comes up, then you take it, and if I get something, then you take it, and I'll shoot a center, and if I can kick it, then I'll kick it, and that's it. And defend however it is, and then again defend and attack. When has Brazil played anything else? And today's soccer is something different. So then, what does Brazil need? an Argentinian coach from ours. What did Uruguay need? Because Uruguay, they haven't won shit for a long time. But obviously, what did Uruguay need? An Argentinian coach. What does Colombia need? One in many Argentinian coaches. They needed that last one, no, the rest that they've had in history. Because if we've been telling, no, not that, and bring many Argentinian players so that we can teach you to play, so that you learn what it is to play. Notice that in Brazil, never in history now, they can check this statement. There hasn't been so many Argentinian coaches in the local championship of Brazil. They've got a whole bunch of them, and if I remember correctly, there's like 8 or 10 Argentinian coaches in the Brazilian teams. A whole bunch of them, a whole bunch, mind you. Incredible. And what does that indicate? How many Brazilians are there in Argentina? How many Brazilians are there in the world? Nothing, absolutely nothing. So then, what does that mean? That you need more than just skill. With the skill of the beach, the calecita as they call it, the jogo bonito, the pretty game, the futebol, is a lot more, my dear Brazilians. You need an Argentinian coach, but tell the truth, don't hire anyone, because if Brazil is that way, it's better that they stay that way. That way we can laugh. Anyway. So then, we've got 2 Argentinian coaches got to the final. Yes, of course. In the semifinals of the 4 teams, you had 3 Argentinian coaches. One was Canadian, and the rest Argentinians. And in the final, 2 Argentinians were left. Wow. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. Very well. So then, I hope that Argentina wins, but if Argentina loses, nothing happens, obviously, against Colombia. Nothing happens. There's no Colombian listening. So then, for me, you know where Colombia can go with their soccer team. Since we're Argentinians, we fight for Argentina, but if we lose before Colombia, nothing happens with Colombia. Is either way a son of ours. Speaking in the football realm, he's our son. Just like Uruguay, okay? They're like, what? Yes. Argentinians... How do they see Uruguayans like a rebellious son that rebelled against them and they wanted to separate themselves? That is, Argentina sees Uruguay, and Argentina is not angry against Uruguay. Uruguayans have anger against Argentinians from the Uruguayan side. Once they cross the border, another Argentinian. When they cross the border, they're yet another Argentinian. Way too much. We've got Merentiel, we've got Cavani. But Uruguay is spectacular, man. Uruguay has magnificent beaches. I'm talking Uruguayans in Buenos Aires, they get along with Argentina so well. Oh, absolutely. In fact, always. When they move from one country to the other, the Uruguayan has Argentinian children because they marry an Argentinian woman and they have Argentinian children. There's a lady that works in Home Depot who's Uruguayan. She's got her whole country leaves an Argentinian son. I'm Uruguayan, but I'm more Argentinian than a Uruguayan. No, I mean, it's spectacular. Spectacular, like the way they treat us, they gives us discounts and coupons. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So then I wanted to tell you that about Uruguay, Argentina, which should be only one country. Very well. Taking that out, I hope we see a good football game tomorrow, but it's boring. I mean, this week Boca plays. We have new players, but I really don't know how we'll fare with that. But the only one we're fighting for is the South American Cup. Let it be whatever. Okay. We are on question number 1. Question number 1. Somebody commented on the chat. Jose said 7 of the 10 South American selections are Argentinians. The coach has 7 out of the 10. Wow. It should be 10 out of 10. That's what I say. We have to teach them how to play football. We have to teach them how to play football. When did I know Mexicans will say, no, we had a bad one. When did Mexico? There's no Mexican. Listen to me. When did Mexico had in the whole history of the World Cups? Was it better when they had what was this guy's name? La Volpe, right? La Volpe. When they had La Volpe, that it's as clear as that. Of course. Very well. Competitiveness, is it good to apply? Let me apply myself. Now that we're in the Copa America, the selections are competing to be the best in the continent. In my case, I make an effort to be the best in my office, to have the effort before competitiveness. Could this play in one way or another in our ego to draw us away from the true justice? Thank you. Well, the question is complex in the sense of competitiveness. Is it good? And it also has its negative side, because we need something, we need lots of competitiveness so as to get better. If competitiveness did not exist, then we would not make a better product. We need competitiveness in order to make better. I know that we could think all competitiveness is bad, but it is necessary and it is part of this creation at least. Competitiveness helps you to get better, and that is something that is so clear, not just in material things. Makes you get your, how you look, makes you better, your physique, makes you conquer things which, if it weren't because you want to compete, you would not get better. I mean, don't even mention about couples. I mean, in order to achieve a couple, you have to compete with so many a male man that wants to get a woman. Well, actually, he has to compete against a whole bunch of other males that also would want that. And it is to compete, and the women also. The women, sometimes they see something that they like, and they compete amongst themselves to see who will take that gentleman, for example. And so then it takes out, it brings out the best in you, but it can also bring the worst out of you. That is what happens. It is a complex question. Competitiveness, in my point of view, and trying to explain it in the most simple way possible, is healthy as long as it is for something positive, because it could be competitiveness for something negative or something positive, but you use negative things, brutal things. Competitiveness takes people to kill. Sometimes, of course, sometimes the strength of the competitiveness is envy, or it is the desire of covetousness, and so then, since you covet it, it'd be better to crush them. Those are the things that I'm saying that could completely be negative in competitiveness, of course.
If competitiveness is just a game, then, oh well, you have to know how to lose.
If I sum it up,
if it's about a game, then you have to learn how to lose, because you're not going to win all the time.
You have to know how to lose. Very well said. You have to know how to lose. And in my point of view, competitiveness is absolutely necessary. That is what I have to say. Now, that it's a power, just like something for a positive sense or negative. But if you don't have competitiveness, there's no motive. You would not want to have a...
Now, if it is based in envy or covetousness,
see, that's what happens.
It's going to destroy you.
Right, because the word itself, you say the competitiveness because you want to compete with your neighbor. If the neighbor buys a car better than yours, you look at it. And so then in your competitiveness, I'll buy one better than that. Now in that aspect, one could say that's negative. But in the end of it all, it is positive, because of course it is a motive so for you to get better. How many times do you see that a neighbor starts with, they paint their house and the other one says, wow, I'm going to do the same thing. And all of a sudden, the whole neighborhood starts to remodel. If there was no competitiveness, then there would be no motive for anything. That is why it is a dual-edged sword. And in soccer, of course, there has to be competitiveness. There has to be competitiveness, and I'm talking about to the death. Maybe not literally, but it is. You have to give everything. Leave it all in the field. To be exhausted to that level of competitive results, don't even play. If you're going to play, please help me. If you pass me, oh, that's good. Blessings, you passed me. Very good. Either the ball passes or the player passes. Not both of them. You have to stop one of them. You have to stop one of the two. That is what competitiveness is about. And Uruguay knows how to do it. But so does Colombia, okay? Careful. In the game against Argentina, I'm not going to predict the score because later it doesn't come true and it's always the same thing. But I believe that it is very easy. It's a very easy game. That's all I'm going to say. It is a very easy game. It is very easy, and one will win by a landslide. That's all I'll say. There could be lots of goals, lots of scoring. It's very easy, lots of scoring, because that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Nothing else. Exactly. So then pay attention. So then, in your office, compete to be the best. And the best competition is not the other, but with yourself. When you say, well, I did this, I want to do this faster, I want to do it better, I want to do it superior. How is it that the products, how do you think that they have evolved and have become better and better? Competition. We're all like, yes, that's fine. Henry Ford made a car there, a Ford Model D. That's the one will stay. If the car's working, you have to just, I mean, it's working, why fix it? And General Motors says, no, let's compete. Let's compete. Competition is the best thing that we could have. Completely, if there's no competition, then we are dead. Here, competition is even to see who the Messiah will be. I mean, that's all I'll say. It is competitiveness. So then, that's why Juanense says, was it Juanense? Juanete? Oh, Luisete. Luisete says, the one that does not accept the truth, in other words, my truth, it's competition. It's all about competition. Paul competed against the super apostles, he said. He says, who said that? The super apostles. Right, Luisete, Cesar Ivan, all competition. But they're out of place completely. There are people or peoples or entities that you can't compete against. You've already lost if you want to compete. It's better to join them, just like they say, if you can't beat them, join them. In that case, it is applied with the eternal truth. Because to defeat it, it will not be defeated. The only thing they can do is join them if they want to, and if not, try. But it will not be defeated ever. Very well. Then it's already competition to the maximum with yourself. Mind you, if I nail a nail, the next one will say, how can I nail it even better? And the next one, how can I nail it even better? I make a floor and I say, how can I make the next one even better? And I stop to think about it and competing against myself. For the time, the quality, the product, it's all like that. It's all competition, for example. Of course, very well. 2. Hello, Christian. I'll leave you this question for a study. And here is the day of the study. And send me questions, but I think I have a few questions left, and I like the questions a lot. Right, or Luisete, speak more. Comment even more, Luisete. Exactly. It's just that sometimes the arrogance of the people, Right, they give me material to work with. And they're ridiculed. Yes, I love it. So then comment and ask me questions. If you write it to me in private, I try to not highlight your mistakes. If you write them publicly, and I'm obligated to highlight them. Horrible grammar that you write with. Some of you I just skim over, but if it's in private, I won't highlight them as much. Hello, Christian. Some I won't. I'll leave you this question for a study. Matthew 12:44 through 45 about the clean house in the spirits. What does it mean? Hugs. Okay, let's read Matthew 12:44 43 through 45,
que está muy buena.
which is
Esta
very good.
pregunta
This question is
excelente
an
con-
excellent
y viene
question,
también con
and it
las
also
otras
comes
que
with the other
contesté la
ones
semana
that I've answered
pasada, la
last
otra
week,
y
to
otra que
the
voy a
other,
contestar hoy.
and another one that I'll answer
Mateo
today.
12:43 al
Matthew
45,
12:43
cuando
through
el
45.
espíritu inmundo, está hablando
When
de
the
Yahweh,
unclean spirit, Yahweh speaking,
cuando el
mind you,
espíritu
when the
inmundo
unclean
sale
spirit
del
is
hombre,
gone out of a man,
anda por lugares
he walketh
secos,
through dry places,
buscando reposo
seeking
y no
rest,
lo halla.
and findeth none.
Entonces dice,
Then he said,
volveré a
I
mi
will return
casa
into my
de
house
donde
from
salí,
whence I came out.
y
And
cuando
when he
llega,
is come,
la halla
he findeth
desocupada,
empty,
barrida
swept,
y
and
adornada.
garnished.
Entonces
Then
va
he goeth he,
y toma
and
consigo
taketh with
otros
himself 7
7
other
espíritus
spirits
peores que
more
él.
wicked than himself.
Y entrados
And they
moran
enter
allí.
in and dwell there.
Y el postrer
And the
estado de aquel
last state
hombre
of that man
viene a ser
is worse
peor que el primero.
than the first.
Así también
Even so shall it
acontecerá
be
a
also
esta
unto
mala
this wicked
generación.
generation.
Bien.
Farewell.
Yo
I
he escuchado todo tipo de
have
interpretaciones
heard
acerca
all
de esto.
types of
Pero la
interpretations about this,
que
but the
les
one
voy a
that
decir,
I'm going to tell you about,
de la que yo
of
conocía,
the one
era
that I
de
knew,
los adventistas,
is
por
was
supuesto,
the Adventist Church, of
que
course,
dice
which
que el
says
hombre,
that a man,
cuando ha sido endemoniado,
when he has been
demonio adentro, no es el
demon
hombre,
possessed, in other words,
sino
he has a
él,
demon
por
inside. It's not the
alguna
man,
razón
but he, for
que
some
nadie
reason or
conoce
another
bien,
that nobody knows well,
abrió una
he opened
compuerta,
up a gate
explicaban,
that,
una compuerta
as they would
de su mente, de su
explain,
alma,
a gate
y
in
entró
their
a vivir
soul
un
or
demonio.
mind, and a demon started to
El
live with
demonio.
him. He is demon
Entonces el
possessed.
endemoniado este
So then this demon possessed
decía,
person,
y me contaba
and
la
as I was
iglesia,
told by the
que
church,
cuando uno se
when
entrega
one
a Jesús,
gives himself to Jesus,
entonces Jesús viene y te saca ese demonio.
then Jesus comes and takes that demon out.
Pero si uno se descuida después
But if
de
you
su amor a
later
Jesús,
on
o de la iglesia,
are wanting with your love towards Jesus or
en
the
el
Adventist Church,
momento que
right in the
te
moment
descuidas,
in
si
which
Jesús
you
te sacó un demonio,
don't
no
take
deja
care
la
of it,
puerta
if
cerrada,
Jesus took a demon out,
sino
he does
esa
not leave the
puerta
door
queda
closed, but that
abierta.
door is left open.
Entonces, si te vas de
So
la
then,
iglesia
if you leave
adventista,
the Adventist Church,
ese demonio va a venir con
that
7
demon will
demonios
come
más
back
y vas
with
a
7
quedar
more demons, and
recontra
you'll be
endemoniado.
completely demon possessed.
Eso
That right there
me contaban
is
a mí.
what I was told.
La iglesia cristiana creen
The Christian
muy
Church, they
parecido a
believe
esto,
something
muy
very
parecido.
similar, very similar.
Pero todo esto es una
But all this
patraña
is
mentirosa,
a complete
porque
bunch of
la
lies,
lógica
because the
hace
logic
agua por todos
makes
lados y se
water,
hunde.
everything water,
Esta
and
verdad.
this
No
whole
es
truth
verdad. Vamos a empezar
sinks. It's
lo
not
que
the
está
truth.
diciendo
Let's
Yeshua,
start with
en
what
realidad
Yeshua
Yahweh,
is really
pero
saying, who's
en la
Yahweh,
forma humana,
but in the
Yeshua.
human form was Yeshua.
Cuando el espíritu
When the
inmundo sale
unclean
del
spirit
hombre. Vamos a
comes
empezar.
out of the
¿Qué
man. Let's start with
carajo
that.
hacía un espíritu
What was an
inmundo
unclean spirit
en el
doing
hombre?
in that man?
Uno tiene que empezar a pensar,
You have
¿esto
to
es
stop to
verdad?
think, is
¿Esto es
this
literal? ¿Qué
literal?
carajo está
Is
diciendo?
this the truth? What the fuck is he
Bueno,
saying?
desde ya les digo,
Well, to
tengo
tell
una
you the truth,
sorpresa. Esto es
let
totalmente
me surprise you.
simbólico.
This is completely symbolic.
Entonces presenta una situación
So then it
imposible.
presents an impossible situation
Cuando el
when
espíritu
when
inmundo
the
sale del
unclean spirit comes out
Yo
of the
no puedo
man.
hacer una teología como una
I
iglesia
cannot
decir,
be
¿y
like
cuándo
in a
sale
church,
del
the
hombre? Ah,
theology
cuando
there
te
to say, when
entregas
does
a
he come out?
Jesús
Oh,
y
when
por
you
la
give yourself to
sangre de
Jesus by the
Cristo,
blood of
yo
Christ,
ordeno,
I
demonio,
command
que
you, unclean
salgas de
spirit,
esa
to
persona.
come out of that person.
La gente
The people,
empieza
they
a
start to
creer, a
believe
temblar,
and
y hasta
tremble.
se sienten ruidos
They even
extraños,
feel weird
explosiones,
noises,
de todo.
explosions, all
Y,
kinds of
y los
things.
que echan demonios,
And those that cast demons out,
exorcistas, son
the
así.
exorcists
Y
are that way
ordenan,
because
hablan
they
con el
command,
demonio y
they
dicen,
speak to the
"Te
demon, they
ordeno
say, I
que
command you
salgas del
to
cuerpo
come
de
out of
esta
the
joven,
body
de
of
esta
this
chica, de
young
esta
man,
mujer."
young lady, young woman.
Entonces, nada de eso existe
So
en
then
el
none of that
texto.
exists in the text. It says when
Espíritu inmundo
the unclean
sale
spirit comes
del
out
hombre.
of the man.
¿Por qué razón sale
For
ese
what
espíritu
reason does
inmundo?
that
Porque no
unclean
sabemos
spirit
qué
come
es.
out? That we don't even know what it is.
No lo sabemos.
We don't know.
Sale porque se le ocurre
Comes
salir,
out because it
dice
wants to
Yeshua. Yo ahora le
leave.
doy
Yeshua says,
una interpretación completamente diferente
I'll give you a different
de
interpretation.
lo que para mí Yahweh
Completely
me está
different
diciendo.
to, in my point of view, what Yahweh was saying.
Anda por lugares secos,
He walketh through dry places,
buscando reposo y
seeking
no lo
rest,
halla. Ahora,
and findeth
un
none.
espíritu,
Now a spirit.
¿qué carajo es un espíritu?
What the fuck is a
Los
spirit?
adventistas van a
The
decir,
Adventists
donde
will
yo
say,
nací,
from where I was
son
born, they
ángeles
are
caídos.
fallen angels.
Porque
Because
Satanás, o
Satan
Lucifer, engañó
or
un
Lucifer
tercio de
deceived
los
a
ángeles
third
del
of the
cielo,
angels of heaven,
y un tercio
and 1/3
vinieron a la tierra.
came to the earth.
Y esos son los espíritus
And those are
inmundos.
the unclean
No tiene
spirits?
sentido.
It makes
Es
no
un ángel
sense.
glorioso.
It's a glorious angel.
Caído, no caído, sigue
Fallen
siendo
or
un ángel
not, it's
glorioso,
still a glorious angel.
que no existe,
That does not
por
exist,
supuesto,
of course.
que no creemos en eso.
That we don't believe in that.
Pero lo que
But
les quiero mostrar
what I'm trying to
es
show
que
you is
no
that
tiene sentido su interpretación.
its interpretation
Un
makes no
espíritu
sense.
inmundo es
An
un
unclean
ángel
spirit
glorioso.
is a glorious angel.
Y que el ángel glorioso
And
con
the
cuerpo y
glorious
todo
angel with body and all
necesita meterse en
needs
el
to
cuerpo
go
de un ser
into
humano.
the body of a
Y
human
si no
being.
está en el
And
cuerpo
if
del
it's
ser
not
humano,
in the
anda como un
human's
estúpido
body,
en el
he's like an
desierto
idiot in the
quemándose.
desert burning.
No tiene sentido,
Makes no
señores.
sense,
Dice,
people.
anda por lugares secos.
It says
¿Por
in
qué anda
dry
por
places.
lugares
Why
secos?
is he in dry
La
places?
pregunta es,
That's the
¿quién lo
question.
mandó al
Who
espíritu a
sent
andar por lugares
that
secos?
spirit
Que vaya a una
in the
pradera,
dry places?
que vaya
Let
a
him
un
go to a
parque, que vaya a
prairie,
un
to a
lago,
park, to a
que vaya a
lake,
una montaña.
to a
¿Por qué
mountain.
salió
Why did he
derecho al
come out
desierto?
and
Esa
go
es la
straight
pregunta,
into a
nadie se
desert? That's the
pregunta
question.
eso.
Nobody asks about that.
Dice, anda por lugares secos,
It says, goes in dry
buscando
places,
reposo,
seeking
y
rest,
no
and
lo
findeth
halla.
none.
Entonces dice,
Then he saith,
volveré a
I'll
mi
return into
casa,
my house
de donde
from whence
salí.
I came out.
Para este espíritu
This
inmundo
is-
dice
this
que la casa de
Unholy
él es
Spirit
de
says
donde
that his
salió.
house is whence he
Acá
came
da la
out.
impresión que salió
He
por
gives
puro
this
gusto
impression
el
that he
espíritu.
came out just because he wanted to.
No dice que, claro,
It
no
doesn't
dice
say,
que fue
of course, it doesn't say
expulsado,
that he was kicked out.
dice que salió.
It says that he came out.
Porque si lo hubieran
Because
expulsado,
if he had been kicked out,
si lo hubieran expulsado,
they had
no
kicked him out,
tendría las ganas ni el derecho de volver a su casa. Porque lo
he would
expulsaron.
not even want to go
si lo
back
expulsó
or the
Dios,
right to come back because he was kicked out.
¿cómo
And if
carajo
God
va a
kicked him out,
volver?
how the fuck is he going to come
Dice,
back? But he says,
como un hijo pródigo este.
maybe like a prodigal
Dice,
son, maybe. He
igual
says,
que el hijo pródigo.
just like the
Ahora
prodigal
que
son.
salí,
Now that I
yo
came out,
recuerdo,
I
estoy
remember
comiendo con los cerdos,
now I'm
algarroba.
eating
Dice,
with
yo
the
recuerdo
pigs
que en la
here.
casa de mi
I
padre el
remember
siervo
that
más
back
siervo de
in
todos
my
comía mejor que yo.
house, in my father's
Eso es
house,
lo que dice el
even the
Espíritu.
lowest servant
Dice,
ate better than I do now.
Entonces dice,
That is what the
volveré a
Spirit
mi
says, so then
casa.
I'll
Y
go
a
back
cuando
to
llega
my
a su casa,
house.
lo echaron.
And so
No dice que
it
lo
was his
echaron.
house. It doesn't say he was kicked
La
out.
interpretación dice que
The
lo echaron.
interpretation says that
Pero
he
¿dónde
was
dice
kicked
que lo
out, but
echaron?
where does it say that they
Vieron
kicked
que
him out?
eso
You
empieza
see
a
how
hacer
this
agua por
it
las
starts to
interpretaciones
turn everything into
estúpidas.
water. The stupid
La verdad
interpretations.
que
I mean, tell the
cuando
truth.
conozcamos
Once
toda
we
la
know
verdad,
all
vamos a
the
decir, pero,
truth, we're going to say,
wow,
wow,
hasta en eso creíamos
even
estupideces.
we even believed stupid shit.
Entonces dice,
Then
volveré a
it
mi
says,
casa.
I will
A
return
él
to my
no lo
house.
echaron, se fue porque quiso. Dice cuando vuelvo a leer el principio.
He was not kicked out. He left because he wanted to. I'll read it again. When the unclean spirit comes out of the man, right there it says that he comes out just to take a walk. He went to take a
Sale
walk.
del hombre,
He comes out of the man.
anda por lugares secos,
He walked through dry places.
buscando reposo,
Seeking
se fue
rest.
a una vida mejor.
He went to a better life.
Tiene una vida de inmigrante este
An
espíritu.
immigrant.
Entonces dice,
life
me voy de este
is had by
cuerpo a
this
algo
unclean spirit.
mejor allá.
So I'll
Voy a
leave
cruzar
this body and go
el
to something
desierto,
better.
el río Bravo,
And cross
y me voy al
the
norte.
desert, the Rio
¿Cuánto les
Bravo, and go to the north. How many
De golpe
people
se
do
da cuenta
this?
que en el norte
And all of a sudden they
dejó
see that
su
in the
esposa
north
atrás, que
they
el
left their
trabajo es re
wife
duro, que no
behind,
consigue
and
trabajo, que la plata
job
no la
is so
encuentra con una
difficult,
pala, como
doesn't
le
find
dijeron.
money like they told them,
Entonces dice,
like
atravesé
in the
todo este
streets.
desierto
So
para
then I
esto.
crossed this whole desert for this.
Volveré a mi casa,
I'll go back to
dice.
my house, he
Volveré a
says.
mi
I'll go
casa.
back to my
Es
house.
mi casa.
It is my house.
Es la única casa que tiene.
That is the only house he has, the
Volveré a mi
Spirit does.
casa,
I'll go back to my
de donde
house
salí.
from whence I
Y
came.
cuando llega,
And when he has
llega a
come,
la casa,
he goes back to his house.
la encuentra desocupada, barrida y
He
adornada.
findeth it empty,
Pero
swept, and
¿desocupada
garnished.
de quién?
But empty from whom?
Barrida por
Swept
quién
by whom?
y adornada
And
por
garnished
quién.
by whom?
Vamos a suponer en la
Let's
mente
suppose
estúpida
in
cristiana
the
que dice,
stupid
no, porque
Christian
vino
mind that says
Jesús
no,
por
because
la sangre
Jesus
de Cristo
came by the
Jesús a
blood of
través de un
Jesus Christ
pastor,
through a pastor,
le hizo un exorcismo
He
y sacó al demonio.
executed
Entonces, su
exorcism,
casa
kicked
quedó
the demon out, so then
limpia,
his house was left
desocupada de
clean,
malos espíritus,
empty
barrida por
from
Yeshua mismo,
evil
barrió la
spirits,
mugre.
swept all the dirt out, and it was garnished with the Spirit of God.
Si eso fuera
If that were
cierto,
true,
¿cómo carajo
how
va a
the
entrar el
fuck is
espíritu
that spirit
ahí?
going to enter there?
Si ya
If
el
already
patrón de esa vida,
the
la
pattern of that
limpia,
life
la
is
tiene
clean
el
and
supuesto
it's had by
Jesús.
the same Jesus,
¿Quién es el demonio para
Who is that
usurparle la
demon
casa a
to
Jesús?
take that house
Jesús lo
away from
sacó,
Jesus? Jesus kicked him out,
Lo mandó a vivir
sent
por
him
los
to live in the
desiertos.
desert.
Jesús ocupó esa casa, la barrió. y
Jesus
Jesús la
took over that
adornó.
house, swept it, and garnished it.
¿Cómo el demonio va a
How's
decir,
the demon
"Acá
going to
vengo a
say,
tomar
here I come
posesión
back
de
to take
vuelta"?
possession again?
¿No tendría que defender a Jesús mismo esa casa?
Shouldn't Jesus defend that house
No,
himself?
pero esa no es
No,
la historia.
that's not the story though.
Dice,
It says,
entonces,
then,
dice, la
it says, then he
encuentra
findeth it
vacía,
empty,
desocupada,
swept, empty and garnished. They should have added that it was perfumed.
abierta,
the gates
par en par, la casa
open
está
completely
abierta,
so
eso
that
para que
anybody could enter, a
cualquiera
whole
anda
gang.
vagando.
Then he
Entonces
goeth
va y
and
toma
taketh
consigo
with
otros
himself
7
7 other
espíritus peores que
spirits
él.
more wicked
Ahora,
than him.
¿por qué
Now, why
va a tomar
is
otros
he going to take
espíritus
other spirits
encima
and to
peores
top it off
que él? ¿Y por qué son
worse than
7?
him? And why is it
¿Y
7?
cuál
And
es la
what is the
razón de
reason
decir,
of saying,
hey,
hey,
pudiendo yo vivir solo,
since I could live alone,
me
I'll
llevo
take
esta
this
jauría
whole
de
pack of
espíritus que
spirits,
también me encontré cuando andaba por el desierto?
whom I also found when I
Yo
was
les
in the
decía,
desert, and
vengan
I
a mi
tell them,
casa,
look, come
porque
home
esos
to my home.
espíritus
Why?
no se van
Because
a
those
sus casas.
spirits, why don't they go to their own
No,
home?
me los voy a llevar
No, I'm going to take
conmigo.
them with
Pero
me.
ningún espíritu
No
en su sano
spirit
juicio diría, vení, vamos a destruir
that is
mi casa.
completely
No, el
sane says,
espíritu,
come, let's go destroy
jugando
my
con la
house.
teoría de
No,
eso,
just
¿no?
playing with their
El
theory.
espíritu
No,
dice,
they're
esta es mi casa y
the
no
spirit
quiero
will
tu
say, this is
espíritu,
my house, I
mucho
don't want
menos
another
peor que
spirit.
yo.
And even
Quiero
worse,
vivir solo
someone
acá.
worse than me,
Está
I want to
todo
live alone.
ordenadito,
So in
bonito,
order,
no me
nice,
deja entrar a esos
I'm
7
going to bring those
espíritus.
other
No,
7
esta es mi
spirits. No,
casa,
this
que
is
se
my
busquen
house.
su
Let
casa,
them
esos
look for their
espíritus.
own house, these dog
Encima
shit
son peores
spirits.
que yo, dice.
To top it off, they're worse than me, it says.
Y
And they enter
entrados
in
moran
and
allí.
dwell there.
¿Por qué entraron?
Why
Porque
did
no
they
la
enter?
cuidaba
Because
nadie,
nobody
Jesús
took
no
care
estaba
of it. Jesus
presente.
wasn't present.
Nada,
Nothing,
nada.
nothing. And
Y
the
el
last state
postrer
of that man
estado de
who
aquel hombre
hasn't
que ni
the
corta ni
least
pinta.
say in
Pobre
this,
tipo, el
poor
tipo
guy.
parece un
I mean,
tipo no pensante
apparently the guy can't
que,
think for himself.
se va a los espíritus cuando ellos
That he
deciden
goes to
irse
the
y
spirits when
vuelven
they
en
decide,
jauría cuando
and they
ellos
come
quieren
back in a
volver.
pack when
El
they want to
tipo
come back. And the
no
guy
puede hacer nada.
can't do anything.
Y el postrer estado de aquel
And the
hombre
last state of
viene a
that
ser
man
peor que el
becomes worse than
primero.
the first.
Así también
Even so shall it
acontecerá
be
a esta
also unto
mala
this
generación.
wicked
¿Qué
generation.
generación?
What
La
generation?
generación de Israel. ¿Y por qué
Out
era
of
mala?
Israel. Why were they
Porque
wicked?
tenía el
Well,
peor de
because
los
the
dioses.
worst of the gods.
El asesino y
The
el
murderer
mentiroso.
and
¿Qué peor
liar.
se puede tener de eso?
What could you expect
eso
from
es la
that?
mala
That's why
generación,
it was a
tenían
bad
un
generation,
mal
because they
Dios.
have a bad God
En esta creación.
in this creation.
Entiéndame mis palabras.
Understand my words.
Okay.
Okay,
Entonces,
so then,
¿qué significa estas
what
palabras
do
de
these
Dios?
words mean from Yahweh? Well,
Tiene una sola interpretación.
it has only one interpretation.
Ahora, dentro
Now,
de esa interpretación
within
tiene
that
variaciones.
interpretation, it has
Pero
variations.
esta es la interpretación
But this
que
is
yo les
the
voy a dar.
interpretation that I will give you.
El espíritu inmundo, como
The
ustedes ya
unclean
saben,
spirit,
dice
as you
el
already
Señor,
know, I've taught you
es
many
la
times,
mentira y
it
el
is
engaño.
lies and deceit.
La mentira y el
Lies
engaño.
and
¿Por
deceit.
qué?
Why?
Porque es un espíritu.
Because it's a spirit.
Cuando nosotros, el espíritu
When the spirit,
se dice neuma,
it is called
porque está
pneuma.
escrito
It is
en
written
griego,
in Greek.
neuma.
Pneuma.
Y neuma es
Pneuma
aire.
means air.
Por eso está la palabra
That's why you've got the word
neumático,
pneumatic,
que son los
which
tires,
are
las
the
ruedas,
tires.
neumático, porque están llenos de aire.
Pneumatic because they're filled with air.
Neuma
Pneuma
es
is
aire.
air.
Y en hebreo se dice
And in
ruach.
Hebrew is ruach.
Entonces, el espíritu
So then the spirit,
inmundo
the unclean
es un
spirit,
aire
is an air
inmundo.
that is unclean.
No confundir con otros
Do
aires
not
inmundos.
confuse with other unclean airs like flatulations and others. I'm not referring to that, which also come out from man. And they are unclean spirits. Also, but no, that's not what Yeshua was referring to, no.
Lo que sí se refería es
What he was referring to
que
was
cuando nosotros
that when we
hablamos,
speak,
nosotros hablamos,
we speak.
¿con qué hablamos
What do we
nosotros?
speak with?
Podemos hablar sin exhalar
Can we
neuma.
speak without exhaling
Mis
pneuma? No.
palabras
My
son
words
espíritu
are spirit,
y son
and they
vida.
are life.
Ahora, las
Now,
palabras de las
the
personas,
words of the
de los
people,
teólogos,
of the
de las personas
theologians,
mentirosas, que
the
son
lying
en su
people,
totalidad
which
casi,
are completely,
son
almost all of them,
espíritu
are
también,
spirit also,
pero son inmundas
but they are
porque
unclean
son
because they are
mentiras.
lies.
Si yo escucho
If I hear
a los teólogos de hoy,
today's
a los
theologians,
científicos de la
today's
NASA,
scientists
si yo
from
escucho
NASA, if
a
I
los-
listen
a
to
la ciencia médica,
medical
yo sé que
science, I know
neuma
that
sale de su
pneuma
boca
comes out
para
of their
hablar.
mouths to speak.
¿Me entienden lo que les digo?
You understand what I'm saying?
Entonces el único espíritu
So then the only spirit,
inmundo que
unclean spirit
sale,
that comes
¿y
out
de dónde sale?
and where it
De
comes
la
out from,
boca del hombre
from the mouth of
son
man,
mentiras,
are lies,
engaños.
deceits.
Y cuando
And when
un espíritu
one spirit
sale, un engaño
goes forth,
sale,
a deceit goes
la
forth
boca
out of the mouth
del
of
hombre,
man,
lo que Yeshua está
what
enseñando
Yeshua's
acá,
teaching here,
enseñanza secreta,
a secret teaching,
evidentemente,
evidently,
¿verdad?
it is
Está
concealed.
enseñando diciendo,
He's
"Miren,
teaching, saying, look,
si ustedes
if you
producen mentiras,
produce lies,
las mentiras
lies
son entidades
are entities
que
which,
como convencen a
since they
otros
convince
y se
others
repiten,
and they are repeated,
no van a quedar
they will not be,
ustedes
you are not going to be left
inocentes.
innocent. lies will go back against you 7 times over. That is what he's saying, and even worse. Because all the deceivers of this earth, they are deceived themselves, or do you think they're not deceived? The whole world is deceived. Nobody in Babylon knows all the truth and says, oh, I deceive them. No, they're all. They deceive and they're deceived. They deceive and they're deceived. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. The doctors, they deceive and they're deceived. Scientists, they deceive and they're deceived. They're all deceived. But the teaching in a concealed and symbolic manner from Yahweh, he's saying, when you pronounce lying words, they'll come back against you 7 times worse. In other words, it is a law. Has nothing to do with the spirit. No, the spirit, you're forming it. The pneuma that you are casting out is unclean. It is not just applied to lies, it's applied to curses. When I curse, those curses are multiplied and come upon me. That's why I've told you that in evil that we have in believing and creating and through our mouth, through the word, if you have it created through the word, then we also create through the word. If we curse, that curse will come upon us 7 times over. When we curse unrighteously, is what I'm saying. But out of wickedness, not out of correction or anything of the sort. When we say unclean things, that is what it's referring to. When we say unclean things, which are upon many things, that we, upon ourselves, I mean, this is applied upon everything. When you say, I cannot do this, I cannot pay for the tithes, I cannot come out of my economical situation, not only will you not be able to, but rather it's 7 times worse every time you say it. Why? Because that is an unclean spirit. Unclean. Yahweh is careful what comes out of your mouth. When an unclean spirit goes forth out of your mouth, it'll come back on you 7 times worse than you. You'll have 8 in total, because lies has short legs, because wickedness has short legs, and it'll come back against you, and it'll come back 7 times worse upon you. What you cast out will come back upon you, and it'll be 7 times worse. Now, if I revert this and instead of unclean spirit coming out, I get righteous spirits coming out, spirits of justice, spirits of mercy. They have to come back 7 spirits, 7 righteous spirits of justice and mercy. What do you call when of gratitude, of giving, of generosity, a spirit of generosity? They have to come back upon you, because if an unclean spirit comes out from man, 7 worse than him come back, plus the one that came out. So then it is also true in reverse, and this has that. Unclean spirit is the pneuma that comes out of our mouths. When the unclean spirit goes forth out of man, it goes through the mouth. He goes through dry places looking for rest and doesn't find it. What he's saying, that actually sometimes in that law, it is not fulfilled what you're going to say. It doesn't have effect upon another, but it comes upon you. So then it says, I will go back into my house. It comes back on you. Where did the lie come from? It came from a house, right? Or not? It came out from there. The lie and the wickedness come upon you. Both things. Go back to the house where I came from, where it was produced. And when he gets there, he finds it empty, swept, and garnished. He says, of course, let's make a feast here. Then he goes, there's no defense. What he's saying is there's no defense. When a liar pronounces a lie, he has no defense, and 7 lies, 7 wickedness will come back upon him. So then he goes with him and takes 7 worse spirits than him. And it comes always worse. And entering there, they do dwell there, and the last state of that man becomes worse than the first. That will also happen to this bad, evil generation. It is always that way. Elohim always pays us 7 times over, 7 times over. we do kindness, we'll receive kindness. We'll receive them. We don't know where from or how or when, but they come. But when we do wickedness, I can assure you, you'll also receive it. And many people that leave, that write to me, people like this person that wrote, I can assure you that they're using the law of mirror. They feel such guilt. It's incredible, human beings are. They feel guilt when actually they know that they are guilty. Yeshua said it. Do not look the straw in the other's eye, but look at the huge 2x4 in your eye. When you want to condemn others to the apocalypse of destruction, it is because actually internally they're condemning themselves. That's the way it is. It'll always be that way. It is the law of mirror. What I criticize, it is simply what I see in myself, and I want to criticize it. And it's preferably to see it in others and not in me. I don't want it in me, but I see it in others. So then, the subject here is as follows. If we do wickedness, if we say lies, if we say wickedness and deceit, then we'll receive 7 times worse than what we receive. That's all that Yeshua is saying, nothing else. He that will see it can see it. It has nothing to do with fallen angels or out of the flesh spirits. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. It is something that comes out of your house and comes back to your house. Very well. 3. We could define everything that Yeshua said. That question is, a lie begets 7 more lies. And wickedness begets 7 more wickedness. Because when one pronounces a lie, then it can pronounce many other lies to sustain that lie. The lie isn't always sustained there, because sometimes they come back and they say, oh, so then I got to come up with another person to sustain it. How many things did they have to sustain that the earth is not flat? They say we went to the moon and the Chinese went to the moon, but on the dark side of the moon, and we're still sending, and that we're going to go back. They make up millions of lies to sustain the lie. It's impressive because one lie begets another lie, and so on and so forth. That's how wickedness works. But of course it's that way. And in the religions, when from the moment that it is taught that it is 3, a trinity, how many lies does that trinity beget? A whole quantity. You have to make up everybody's role. You have to make up a whole bunch of things. A lie begets another 7, and it is multiplied all over the place. That's the way it is. It is a rule. One lie begets 7 more. That is why the entire Bible is covered with lies, because it was the disciples would elaborate from what the other prophet said that also had not understood. He says, I will elaborate a prophet that also didn't understand. Then an ignorant liar comes and tells me, because in the Bible it says that out of the virgin, well, the Bible doesn't say that the word virgin. It would say damsel, not virgin. So then Isaiah 9:6, the other text that I can't remember what part of Isaiah it says, and the virgin shall conceive. It doesn't say the virgin shall conceive. It doesn't say the virgin. Because the word virgin, you have the word in Hebrew for virgin. But it says the damsel. She could be married. She could be single, could be virgin, or completely 1,000% not virgin. But how do they prefer to translate it? The Christians do, and even very ill applied, the brutish disciples, because in the Torah and the Tanakh, it says, the virgin shall conceive. Ill applied. Peter says, for this is the demonstration of Joel 2. What, Peter? In Pentecost it says, for this is Joel 2, Peter, you're completely wrong. Everything that one lie begets another lie. So then they come, the pastors, and they read, because Peter says that the earth will be consumed by fire, because Peter read that in Isaiah. So he says, oh yeah, they're all going to be destroyed. So then I also collaborate. So then a lie begets another lie, another, and we end up with all the lies, the huge ones that Christianity is. Christianity is an enormous lie. I'm not a Christian. The eternal truth is not Christian. The eternal truth is the Christ. Let's see if you understand this clearly. Don't quote to me what Peter says, what Paul says, to give strength to your own theory when the eternal truth claims Christhood himself. Peter has nothing to tell me. Let's see if you can grasp it a bit. Very well. That is why this text about the unclean spirit is fabulous. Fabulous, the unclean spirit. COVID was an unclean spirit. I'll say it like that because they're going to block it. It was an unclean spirit, which begat many unclean spirits. That you need this, you need that, this remedy, that over there, this other one, this extra one, all these doses, and so then it begets. And it begets. You see how one lie begets another. To sustain it, you have to beget. Magnificent. It's a law. And if we know how to use it, we can avoid it. Like I've told you, this is a game, the game of life. When I see this, I say, oh, of course, if I am a generator of lies, then the law will tell me that I'm going to be filled with lies. So then what do I have to do? Not lie, not deceive, not to do evil, and I already have a letter, which the other people don't have. They don't have it. So then people come and write to me and they say, you, because I believe that Jesus is justice. I see that person and I look at him. If after listening to me he didn't understand, I clearly understand that there's lots of lies in his soul and it doesn't allow him to see the truth. Don't believe that Yahweh is automatic, the blinding thereof of the people. Don't believe for a second that it's automatic, that they can't see. No. It is a law. They are deceivers. And Yahweh says, if they're deceivers, they like lies, then they're deceived. And I'll help them to be deceived, because that's the way they are. That is why the God of this world, that is Yahweh, deceived everyone. Because they practice deceit. So then they say, and they go to defend a God that they don't even know. Because God is righteous, they say. God cannot be unrighteous like you say. Who says that? One that generates lies. Only one really pure of heart can understand that God is unrighteous. But they have to be pure of heart. Because if you're not that way, then of course you'll see the whole world as unrighteous. You're completely unrighteous and you see God, and the only what could be righteous of God? Because you look at yourself and say, I'm completely unrighteous. If I were to tell what I did, if I were to publish what I've done, if I were to open my mouth of what I've done and what I think. And so then they think that they're all unrighteous, and they'll start with that because it's all a deceit on top of another. It doesn't necessarily, the person doesn't have to be necessarily evil, but just because they told them that was evil, they're evil. They think that it's evil, and so then they cannot advance to the truth because they are failed. Their mind is a pack of unclean spirits, and they're tied to the unclean spirits. Only the Messiah can free them. Only the Messiah can take out in thousands in that from that other symbol once and for all. It's as simple as that. The unclean spirit are deceits, are wickedness, but by saying them, more come back upon them. And when somebody shows me the truth, I cannot accept it. I cannot let it go. I am bound to my own lies. Christianity is a lie. Judaism is a lie. Don't even mention the Muslims. And don't even mention the whole rest. It's a lie. An absolute lie. The whole world is demon-possessed by the millions. Those demons are lies. And to top it off, they execute that, and it's impossible to leave from that. Very well. 3. Question number 3, the last one that I'll answer for today. Oh, this one's a very good one. This one's a very good one. Well, let's answer this one today, and we won't advance today in the study. But we're in the study. Can we change the study and everything that I've dedicated today? Can we change this? Apocalypse? No, I don't want to change it, but it's not going to be fulfilled the way the people think that it'll be fulfilled. There's no destruction, no plagues, nothing. They're all symbolic, and it has a different connotation, completely different. So then everything that I've said about the plagues, about the trumpets and the seals, all that, like I've said it and I've always said it, that is absolute, how was the word? Speculative. Actually, it's symbolic, and we have to go back to study it all, because it's symbolic, period. That's it, it's over. Symbolic. There won't be a mark of the beast that the people receive some source. No, it's nothing literal like that. It's nothing literal like that. The mark of the beast, yeah, it was a deceit. It was a deceit, but nothing happens, because the sons of Elohim annulled it. The judges, just like that, the mark of the beast was annulled, went to dog shit, and so then we have to go back to study all that. Question number 3. Hello, Chris. Shabbat Shalom. Last Shabbat, you spoke about witchcraft and about what the demons could be. Now, about witchcraft, I had understood it clearly before, because in Exodus 7, 8 through 12, we have the example of Pharaoh's mages that converted their sticks into serpents with witchcraft. But of course, just like Moses had done, it's just that Moses's was more powerful, because Moses's stick ate up all the other ones. Yahweh says, you have your witchcraft that I gave you, but mine is more stronger. It is stronger. It is like a game between Argentina and Mexico, give or take. It says, you, no matter how many you are, I'll eat you all up. There's no Mexican listening, so then we can say it and with no problem, because it's true. Either way, it's true. Okay, moving on. It says, where do you think that they'll leave? I'm telling you the truth. More powerful is the Argentinian witchcraft than other witchcrafts in soccer. And tomorrow I hope an easy result and clear. Okay, moving on. So then, it is extremely clear that everyone can execute witchcraft, but the level of Yahweh, who is the senior witcher, is a lot superior. So then it says, just like Moses had done, yet there are certain texts in the Torah where it is spoken of evil spirits. If you have explained to us that demons represent lies, very well understood, I'd like to know your explanation about these texts. The evil spirit sent by Yahweh that tormented King Saul in the first book of Samuel 16:14, which would possess him and which would have him attack David, trying to kill him in 1 Samuel 18:10 and 11. Well, okay, let's read that first. Let me leave the question here because it is longer. I'm going to read to you 1 Samuel 16:14. First, I'll read it in the Spanish RV 1960, which says, "But the Spirit of Yahweh departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Yahweh troubled him." Okay. The text is very clear that what was tormented him was a spirit, an evil spirit, that is, but from whom? From Yahweh. It says that the Spirit of Yahweh departed from him, but the very same Spirit of Yahweh would torment him because it was from Yahweh. Look at how it says in other versions. In the Kadosh, which is a little bit better translated, because these texts are difficult to translate because it's got things that go against the translator's beliefs in Christianity. 1 Samuel 16:14 in the Kadosh version. the Israelite
Ahora,
messianic
el
version.
Ruach de
Now
Yahweh
the Ruach of Yahweh
había dejado a
had
Shaul.
left Shaul,
En cambio, un
yet
Ruach
a Ruach,
malvado de Yahweh
an evil Ruach from Yahweh,
lo atormentaba.
troubled him.
Entonces está el
So
Ruach
then
bueno
you
de
have the
Yahweh,
good
y está el
Ruach of
malo
Yahweh,
de
and you have the evil Ruach
Dice, lo abandonó
of
el
Yahweh.
Ruach bueno de Yahweh,
It says that the
pero
good Ruach
lo
of Yahweh
seguía
left him,
guiando y
but
atormentando
what
el
was
Ruach
troubling
malo
him
de
still
Yahweh.
was the evil Ruach of Yahweh.
What?
What?
Vamos a leer lo que dice la
Let
nueva
us see what the
versión
new
internacional.
international version says.
NIV, nueva
NIV,
versión
the
internacional.
new international
El
version.
espíritu del
The
Señor
Spirit of the
se apartó
Lord
de Saúl,
departed from
y
Saul,
en su lugar
and
el
in
Señor
its
le
place
envió
the
un
Lord sent him
espíritu
an
maligno
evil
para que lo
spirit to
atormentara.
torment him.
Entonces,
So then,
¿de quién era ese espíritu? Bueno,
whose
¿a
spirit
qué
was
se
it?
refiere con
Well,
el espíritu
what
de
is it
Yahweh?
referring to by the Spirit of
Esto
Yahweh?
está
This is
absolutamente
absolutely
claro.
clear.
El que lo escribió fue
The
Samuel,
one that wrote it was
o
Samuel,
alguien que estaba
or
con
someone
Samuel,
that was with
el escritor de
Samuel,
Samuel,
the writer of Samuel,
que en realidad no sabía
which actually
absolutamente
didn't know
nada,
absolutely
ni le creo
anything,
cosas a
and
Samuel, es su
neither do I believe
percepción
things
nomás.
of Samuel. It's his
Al decir
perception.
que
By
el
saying
espíritu de
that
Yahweh
the
se
Spirit of
apartó de él,
Yahweh
significa
departed from
que
him
le
means
quitó
that
algo,
he
no es
took
que el
something
espíritu de
from him.
Yahweh
It's not that the
estaba
Spirit of
con
Yahweh
él,
was with him,
sino
but rather
Yahweh
Yahweh
te influye,
influences you,
pensar ciertos,
true
te
thoughts,
influye humor,
in-
te influye
influences humor,
un cierto
influences
confort en ti,
a certain comfort in you,
pero también te puede
but
influir
also
terror,
it can influence
puede
terror,
influir
it can
miedo,
influence
te puede
fear,
influir desesperación.
despair.
¿Por qué?
Why?
Tiene completa influencia en
This has
nuestra
got
mente.
complete influence in our mind. Absolutely.
Absoluta.
Absolutely.
Entonces ya estos no son
So then
espíritus,
this already, they are not
no son
spirits, they're
mentiras
not
en ese
lies in
sentido,
that
sino
sense,
son
but they are
eh,
influences, but
influencias,
rather
pero
moods
estados de
that
ánimo
are
que
influenced by
influyen.
Yahweh.
Estados de ánimo.
Moods.
Influencia de Yahweh, sí,
Directly.
directamente. Tanto
Just
así
as much
como
as when
cuando
Judas
Judas
did
no
not want to
quería
go
ir
to
a
betray him, what
traicionarlo,
does
¿qué
it say?
dice?
Satan entered in
Satanás
him.
entró en él.
There it is. The spirit of Yahweh,
de Yahweh,
malignant,
maligno,
made
lo
him
hizo
do what he
hacer
had
lo
to
que
do.
tenía que hacer.
Very well.
Bien.
So then,
Entonces,
what
¿qué
does this mean?
significa?
I'll read it
Número
again.
uno, el espíritu de
It says the
Yahweh
spirit of
se apartó
Yahweh
de Saúl.
departed from Saul. Already he said,
Dijo,
okay,
ya,
I'll
lo
abandon him.
abandono. Pero
But
¿estaba el espíritu
was the
de
spirit
él
of him
con
with
él?
him?
No, no
No.
estaba el espíritu
The spirit of Yahweh was not impregnating
impregnando a Saúl en
Saul
su
in his
alma.
soul. No,
No
it isn't so.
es la
It is the
compañía de
company of
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Now,
Ahora, dice que le
it says that he would torment him,
un espíritu
an evil
malo
spirit
de
from
parte
Yahweh.
de Yahweh.
What is
¿Qué es
that
ese
evil
espíritu
spirit?
malo?
Well, it
Bueno,
could be
puede
two
ser dos
things.
cosas.
It could be two
Podría ser
things.
dos cosas.
It could
Podría
literally
ser
be
literalmente
an
un
angel from
ángel de
Yahweh,
haciéndole la vida imposible
making
a
his
Saúl.
life impossible,
Podría
or
ser
it could only be
solamente un
just
estado
a
de ánimo.
mood.
¿Vieron que,
You see how
vieron que a las bebidas
you know
alcohólicas
how
en inglés
alcoholic
se le dice spirits?
drinks are called spirits. You've heard that,
¿Han
right?
escuchado, no?
Liquor, it's liquor or spirits.
Los
Spirits. Spirits.
spirits.
Now
Ahora,
tell me,
dígame, ¿el
alcohol, is it
alcohol
a
es un
demon?
demonio?
Does it have
¿Tiene
an
una
entity?
entidad? No.
No.
¿Y por
Why
qué
do you
se le
call it
dice
a spirit?
spirits a las
The
a las
alcoholic
bebidas
drinks.
alcohólicas?
Because
Porque son
they can
capaces
change
de
your
cambiarte
mood.
el humor.
Some
Algunos
for
para
good and
bien
some
y
for
otros para
evil.
mal. Algunas personas
Some
se ponen
people
en
get
estado de
in a
ánimo
good
bueno,
mood, social,
sociable, jocoso,
laughable,
otras
others
les da
get sleepy,
sueño,
and
y otras
others
se
get
ponen
very
muy
aggressive.
agresivas.
Because it
Porque
would
parece
seem
que
that
un
as spirit
espíritu
possesses
las
them,
posee,
and
y
it's
es el
alcohol.
alcohol.
Okay?
¿Ok?
So then,
Entonces,
that
ese estado
state
de ánimo,
of
de miedo
fear or
o de
peace
paz,
or
Yahweh
joy,
lo puede
Yahweh
influir
can
como
influence
si
it on you
fuera
as if it were
algo,
something, as if it were a substance in the brain, because you know that the state of mood that we have could be depression, or it could be excitement, it could be enthusiasm, it could be peace, it could be many different things. Actually, it is directly related to what our brain reproduces, and it gives us certain hormones in which they are balanced, and you can feel peace or tranquility, or you can feel fear, anguish, depression, that this life is no good. All this is produced by chemical things in the brain. There's no spirit pressuring you that you feel depression because your brain was depressed. No, it is produced only by chemical substances. That is why within all the pharmakeia, everything in their business, For certain people in a depressive state, very dangerous, they have constellations rather, that at the level of Hammer we could understand them. Maniac, depressive, and suicidal, and all the rest, they can be appeased with a little pill that should also be called the spirit. Because there are people that if you don't give them that little pill, it is aside from him, or else if you give them the pill, they can act well. I've seen a whole bunch of people. That's why the pharmakeia is, my respects. I'm saying new things. Pharmakeia is wow for that. We're gods, actually. Literal gods. Long live pharmakeia. If we're going to make up substances to avoid problems which are absolutely impossible to avoid and solve at a level of not even speaking or with hands or praying to a God that won't listen to you, we solve and say, no, stop, this is chemical, let's make this balance, we'll add this and that, it's produced this in the body, and it reduces this and that, it augments this, and the person will feel well. Perfect. An applause for pharmakeia. And we should do a lot more things like this without entering into the business. What is the problem with pharmakeia? It's the business. If it weren't because of these merchants that do it out of making money, if they did it just because out of heart and to better humanity, we'd have so many more substances for everything, all kinds of good ones I'm talking about, good chemical substances. If there is no money in between and you would do it out of love to science, the companies, they would say, let us produce things which actually either cure them completely or that can help them to get better. I mean, oh, mamma mia, and there's no earning because it's all free. Oh, mamma mia, what this would be if we would wish to make this better. If it's an enormous blessing, it would seem a gift from the gods, an expression that is good. Ibuprofen, it is something which is marvelous, just like that marvelous, incredible, which humanity has never had before. And it can literally save your life when you have a high fever. Literally, it saves your life. It can lower it. It controls your pain. I mean, there's so many things that I could tell you of the good thing that certain substances are that pharmakeia has. We're literally gods, actually, and they're gifts from the gods. We're the gods. Well, there are many pills for men that helps things work better, that maybe they don't work anymore. But Elohim made things that with time, it only lasts 50 years, 60 years, and then afterwards they don't work. But if science says, look, with this it works, I mean, marvelous. Absolutely, I mean, in every aspect. So many chemicals there are, of which we would be marveled if we would really understand that at the reach of our hands, we have something which humanity has never had. Humanity has never known what it is to have a powerful remedy to take the pain away. They've never known that. They've never known what it is to have a remedy to take an infection out. That infection will kill you because that is what the body is. And the law that Hammer discovered it'll kill you. The resolution is stronger than the problem, and it depends on the conflictive mass and all the rest. But if we help it with lots of things, that disappears. How? By like magic. No, it's not magic, it's science. So then it's got it. Pharmakeia has its good thing. I mean, it's spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Does it have its bad part? Yeah, of course, it's a business, but of course, I mean, it's the power of good and evil. Pharmakeia, once again, it can be a Yetzer Hara and a Yetzer Hator. Hammer always said, you have to utilize everything which the modern medicine has for us. Now, knowing that we know, of course, we have to use everything at our disposal to say, how do we use it, when we use it, and why we use it. But of course, absolutely, nothing is resolved with a prayer. Nothing is resolved by believing that a certain thing will leave. Sometimes it is solved just with a spirit. What enters the body? It could be a spirit of alcohol, the spirit of pharmakeia, the spirit that I give you, which is cheering you up. That also resolves a whole bunch of things. So then, What is it referring to by the evil spirit from Yahweh? Yahweh made him feel depression, pain, a whole bunch of things. I'll explain the situation. Yahweh says, oh, you didn't do what I asked you to do. You made me look bad. I chose you as the first king of Israel. I had you be anointed by the servant that I have. His name is Samuel. Now you're going to see. You didn't kill the guy you had to kill. When I tell you, Saul, to kill, I want you to kill even the king, the very last one. You're disobedient. Okay, now you're going to see. Instead of having good days, you're going to have bad days. You're not going to feel my presence. And I summed it all up in the spirit of Yahweh departed from him. I told you the truth. And the second of all is an evil spirit from Yahweh would possess him and torment him. Now you're going to see what it is to feel bad. I'm going to work in the brain and make you feel bad. Fear, terror, with hate, with anger. You're going to feel depression. You're going to feel everything because you despised me. It is the mind of Yahweh. There you have both spirits. It's as simple as that. Did an actual spirit exist? No, it didn't exist. What existed was the chemicals. The magic of Yahweh existed. Very well. Now let us go to the other text. 1 Samuel 18:10. In which he says that it would make David angry. 1 Samuel 18:10. I'll read it first. In the Jerusalem 2001 it says, and it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. And he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. So I didn't add the other text here, but Saul started to be delirious. He started going crazy, like it said in other versions, because an evil spirit from God had possessed him. You see how sometimes we speak with the word spirit when we talk about there's an argument. It could be between father and son, husband and wife, and friends. It could also be, you said, no, that is not the correct spirit. We have to change the spirit here. Or not. Have you never heard or never used that expression? So then what do? We take an evil spirit out and we put a good one. Pepito leaves and we bring the spirit of Christian, for example. Just an example. Do we do that? No. We are referring to the mood that we're in. The mood that we're in, that is the spirit. The Christmas spirit, of course. Oh, it's Satan flying in the Christmas spirit. No, the Christmas spirit is something that you feel, that you can touch. It's the energy emanating from people. The Christmas spirit, you understand that, right? It is so clear, very clear. 1 Samuel 18:10, Jerusalem 2001 says, and it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. Who sent him? Who would do those things? God. It wasn't Satan, it was God. And if he tried to kill David, who provoked him to do so? Who did? There's no doubt about it. And if it says that an evil spirit came from God, which is not a spirit, but rather it's an emotion. Emotions are spirits. It's an emotion. It's what he would feel. How did we say the word before? Which I liked. How was it? No, we just said a word of what the spirit is. The mood. God changes your mood. If a husband per se, just to say a word or two, or wrong spirit, it changes the mood in the wife completely, entirely. The spirit changed. Maybe there's a couple that have an excited spirit to have sex, and all of a sudden something takes place. Maybe not because of them. Somebody calls, they knock at the door, and a bad news or something, and everything is fucked up. Where did the spirit go? It fucked off. The excitement, everything fucked off. It all fucked off. What was that spirit? No, it's a humor. It's emotions. Those are the spirits. Very well. So then,
si,
if
quería
Saul
matar a
wanted to
David,
kill
es porque
David, it was because Yahweh
jugaba con
was
esa
playing with
opción.
that. Yes or no?
No lo iba a poder matar.
He wasn't going to be able to
porque
kill him
también iba
because
a
also
influir
it
en
would
David de
influence in
esquivar,
David of
ole,
avoiding
cada vez que
dodging
tiraba la
every time he
flecha,
would
es
shoot
como
an arrow. It's kind of like
los
Colombia's
últimos
last
tiros de
two
Colombia al arco, con el
shots
arco
on
vacío,
goal
el
with an
arquero
empty
tirado, el
goal.
jugador colombiano la mandaba
The
a la
Colombian
basura.
player would just fuck it
Todo
off to
listo
hell,
para
everything
tirarlo,
ready to
no,
score,
a la
and they
mierda.
fucked it off.
Así es.
That's the way it is. It's
Así
the way it is.
Pudo haber hecho
He
dos
could have
goles
scored
más,
2 more goals,
y no,
and
¿por
why
qué no
didn't he
lo
do
hizo?
so?
Porque
Because
le parecía que le corrían el arco.
it would seem that they were moving the
Parece que le
goalposts.
corrían el
It would
arco.
seem that they were moving the goalposts. So then,
Entonces tiene que ser
so
muy
then it's got to
fácil
be very
por la
easy
mañana.
tomorrow's game.
Entonces,
So then,
El
the
espíritu
spirit
que
that
tenía
Saul
Saúl
had
era un
was
estado
a
de ánimo
state
que le
of
ponía
mind, a
miedo.
mood that Yahweh would
Y
place in
Yahweh
him,
lo
and Yahweh would
provocaba
provoke
a
him
matarlo
to
a David.
kill
Es como
David.
esas
It's kind of like
personas
those
que
people
vemos
that we
mafiosas
see.
que dicen,
Hey,
mira este.
you
Viste como
see
dan una vocecita.
that little voice there? That was Yahweh.
Mira este.
This one,
Cada vez mata
this
más
one kills
personas, ¿sabes?
even
Cada vez
more
mata más
people.
personas en la guerra. Y encima
And to
toca
top it off,
el
he
arpa,
plays
el arpa.
the harp,
Las
and the
chicas
girls,
lo admiran
they
porque
admire
se
him.
va-
Even
se
your
broncean
daughters drool over it. He's cuter than you,
más fuerte.
stronger.
Y encima toca
To top it off, he plays
encima
music.
calma.
Pierce him through against the wall.
¿Quién
Who
le
would
hablaba
speak to
así?
him that way? It was
Era
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
because he
ponía
likes to
un
play
juego
with
a
those
esas
things,
cosas,
like a
un mafioso.
mafioso.
Y a su vez a
And in
David
turn,
le
he would
decía,
tell
"Cuidado que
David,
este
careful,
loco te
this
quiere
crazy
matar.
guy wants to kill you.
Cuidado que este
Careful,
te tiene envidia porque
he
tú no
is
sabes
envious
jugar.
of
Cuidado
you
que te
because
quiere
this son of a
clavar."
bitch,
Y
careful, he wants to
antes de
kill
que
you.
lo
And
lanzara,
before
le
he
avisaba,
would tell him and
"Movete,
says,
movete,
move a
así,
bit, and that's
trabaja Yahweh.
that's how Yahweh
Así
works. That's
trabaja
the
Yahweh.
way Yahweh works.
Lo voy a leer ahora
I will now read it
en la Kadosh.
in the Kadosh.
Porque se van a
You'll be
sorprender de
surprised of
algo.
something. You'll be
Se van a
surprised of
sorprender de
something.
algo.
Did you
¿Sabe
know
que
that
la palabra
the word
deliraba,
to delirious, that he was delirious,
uno
right?
lee
You
deliraba.
read there that it says he would be
Y uno
delirious.
lee, estaba
You
como
read
loco.
he was kind of like crazy.
¿Y cómo dice
What
la
does it
Reina
say in
Valera?
the Spanish
Creo
RV
que está,
1960? I have to notice because I
no,
didn't write it down.
Estamos
We
en
are in the
primer
first book
libro
of
de Samuel
Samuel 18:10.
Primer libro de Samuel 18. Se van a sorprender
Samuel
de la
18:10.
palabra.
It says you'll be
Uno lo tiene
surprised
como la
of the
palabra,
word because
vieron
you
como
know
la
the
palabra
word.
tiene así
You know
como
how
la
it says in the
palabra
word
que
that
es
it is
así,
so
deliraba,
that he
estaba
was
loco.
delirious. He was crazy.
Primero de Samuel
First Samuel
18:10,
18:10 in the
la
Spanish
Reina
RV
Valera
1960
dice,
says.
la Reina
Spanish
Valera.
RV 1960. Hold on a moment.
Bueno, ahí lo encontré. Reina
Spanish RV
Valera 10
1960
dice,
10 says, and it
"Aconteció
came
al
to
otro
pass on the
día,
next
un
day that an
espíritu
evil
malo
spirit
de parte de
on behalf of
tomó a
Yahweh took
Saúl,
over Saul, and
y él
he would rave.
desvariaba.
He would
Desvariaba.
rave.
¿Qué
What does it
desvariaba?
mean to rave?
¿Qué
What does it
desvariaba?
mean to rave? Exactly. It is to have hallucinations, to be crazy. To rave is to be completely out of it, right? Just completely out of it.
Desvariar significa
To
estar
rave means that you are
absolutamente
completely
loquito.
crazy.
Miren cómo dice
Look
la
at how
King
it says in the
James,
King
para
James
los que
Version
hablan
for those of
inglés,
you that speak
como
English
yo,
like I do,
que apenas
that
hablamos
we barely
español.
even speak Spanish.
Para todos los que
For
hablan
all the
inglés,
English
como yo,
speakers like me, it
dice
says
así,
as follows.
And
it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. Oh no, it says the word that it had to say. It says the word that it had to say. The word is, if I want to say it exactly, it is, hold on a moment. Where is the first one? Yes, the word is Navah. You know what Navah means? Do you know what Navi means? Navi, I've taught it to you many times. Navi means prophet. Navi is prophet. Navi. The Navi, Elijah, prophet Elijah. Navi is prophet in Hebrew. Navah is to prophesy. Navi is prophet and Navah is to prophesy. And it says that Saul, the word, it says that he was prophesying, not raving, not being delirious or yelling. He was prophesying. The word says Navah, and of course in English it says, And it says in Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. What did Saul do? He began to prophesy. But since I am a translator, a Christian translator, that doesn't want to say, because it sounds weird, it sounds odd, because even Isaiah would rave. Okay, in my point of view, why for Saul we say he would rave, and for Isaiah we say he would prophesy. Depending on who said we choose, right? Pick and choose. If Saul says it, the fuck this guy. He was raving, he was crazy. But if it was Jeremiah, oh no, he was completely sane and he was prophesying. Very same word. Because he was prophesying. To prophesy is also to rave at some point, to a certain level. To be a bit insane to a certain level. I'm not prophesying. I am in my 5 or 6 senses. You're like, which is your 6th sense? Well, I have an intuition like no fucking other. And I'm not sure if I have 7, okay? The 7 spirits. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'd like to tell you that Brian has a new member of the family. Not the family, not a family, no. The Silva lineage has become greater because Brian is doing a work and they gave him a... That's what happens. See, I told you, Brian. Be careful what you wish for. I taught you not to play with that. Careful with what you wish for. Careful with what you wish for. Because the more you practice the decrees, careful with what you wish for. Some months ago, Brian got Leslie and I together and he said, I'd like to have a dog, a new one, and I want a Doberman. Both Leslie and I, it's our favorite dogs. We've had 3 Dobermans, and all 3 are waiting to be resurrected. I still have 3, it's just that they're dead. I still have 3. I have 3 Doberman dogs, but they're dead. Because we love Dobermans. I don't like German Shepherd. I don't like nothing. I like Dobermans. As a big dog, right? Like a big dog. In medium dogs, I like the pincher. In small dog, I like the miniature pincher. Lots of variety. Right, and the Chihuahuas. The little Chihuahuas that are kind of like a pincher but smaller. That type of dog is the type of dogs that we like. Both Leslie and I. That is what we like. So then Brian, by inheritance and all, whatever, he wanted a Doberman. He wanted a Doberman. Said, no, we're not going to buy a Doberman. I don't want any big dogs because they would shit all over the place. Huge shits. We have to take care of them. You have to take them out to... Well, I'm not at the age of having a Doberman. No, I have 3 either way. They're waiting for me. But no, I don't want a Doberman. No, I don't. No, well, no, I better not say. If someday you buy one and you take care of it, but not now. I don't want a Doberman. And Brian said, well, but I want a Doberman. No, I don't want a Doberman. It's been months ago. Yesterday he was doing a work, detailing job, and the client says, look, I have 2 Dobermans, and I sell the cubs. I have this precious female dog, 5 months old. I'll give it to you. So then yesterday, he showed up with a Doberman with his group of work. So then later on, Brian, you can publish the picture because it's precious. A precious Doberman, long ears. Brian doesn't know if he'll cut him or not. You'll also have to tell him about the cat that came with her kitty not some time ago, it was a month or a month and 2 months, 2 months ago or 3 months, because it was in April, give or take. It's been time. In the 3 months, we were coming from Taekwondo. Brian went to Taekwondo according to what he told me and what I understand, and you can correct me. He went to the Taekwondo house, and there was a cat, and the cat followed him to the door of the Taekwondo, and it was meow, 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 and the professor, what do you call the professor there? The teacher there? Told him, out of here, cat, out of here, shoo, 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 out. And the cat stayed there wandering around, right? At the door, but waiting for Brian as if he knew him. As soon as Brian came out, he followed him to the car, right? When you opened the door, he went into your car. Oh, he got under the tire, as I said, you're not going to move from here below the tire. What'd you do? You grabbed him? Yeah, I told him, shoo, shoo, and he wouldn't leave. So then I took him home. So then 3 months ago, Brian came home with a cat. And a cat, very pretty gray cat, turned out to be a female cat. And it turned out to be in heat. And it turned out to be that in the neighborhood a whole bunch of male cats. Very hot cats. The female cat started to get fat and fat. First thing that Leslie said was, oh, no, not a female cat, I'm allergic. And we said, and she herself said, I no longer have allergies. And she no longer had allergies. No longer had allergies. No more allergies to cats. Not allergies to cats anymore, right? No more allergies. It's gone. Allergies are gone. Absolutely. And there was a female cat. The female cat. Well, the female cat stayed. Leslie called it Michi. Since it didn't have a name, Michi. That's why we call him Michi, Michi, Michi in Argentina. Here they call him Kitty, Kitty, Kitty. Call him Michi. And the cat, we fed it. We didn't let it enter. The next day, it was at the door. And at night, it was at the door and said meow, meow, meow. And it would let us pet it because now these dogs, they don't let themselves be petted. If this cat came, wanted to enter, and we wouldn't let him. Wanted to enter, as soon as we saw the door, you go in, and again, you go out. And that's how the days passed by, and it was left pregnant, and we allowed her to enter a bit because it's a very, very caring cat, very loving cat. And says, no, they're not going to have the cats anywhere. It's going to have them in the house. So then Leslie prepared a cage in the garage, a whole place with food and security, and the cat, with intuition, Leslie thought of when she would have the litter in June 1st, 5 cats, 5 precious cats. And the litter, none of them died, so we have female cat with 5 kittens, and now a Doberman cat, a Doberman dog. We're going to still bring more things. It is not the Ark of Noah, by the way. People think that the world might think that this comes because the animals come. I grabbed in the trap the other day a possum. What do you call the possums? A possum that would look at me. First, it acted as if we're dead. I said, "Oh, poor thing," because I had it there to just to grab the, not to kill them, but just to the trap was there just to grab the chipmunks and to take them to a different neighborhood to live there in the mountain, but not to eat my stuff here, my trees here. But oh well, the chipmunk, I grabbed them, most of them, either they learned the lesson, nobody falls in the trash, but they're there looking at me. A skunk fell in there. Depends on how you call it. We took the skunk there. We've seen another one. And this possum fell there. Poor thing, this possum. So cute. A huge rat like this. The possum is. And it's got some teeth. You know how a possum is? And it was through. It is not a trap, by the way. Careful, the thing trap that grabs one like that. No, it's a little cage. I put a stick on it and I said, it'll crush him, because I've never seen such teeth. And to top it off, it never closed. It would just it would touch him like that. The chipmunks do try to bite it, but not the possum. It would open its mouth, go like that. I wanted to see if it would bite, but it wouldn't bite. Yeah, and all types of little animals. They think it's the Noah's Ark here? Okay, fine. 2 doves came. We've never had doves. Now have doves all over. They're all day. And I've never heard any doves. This is enough with the animals already. Yeah, we have a huge owl that goes to Brian's window. Remember, someone said, oh, wow, there's such a spirit here. All the ones that come here. Religious people and non-religious people. Oh, yeah, we have a falcon and crows. I mean, a whole bunch of them. No, I mean, we've got all kinds of, now cats, 6 cats, 1 Doberman. And that's how we are.
Y había algo
There
más,
was something
pero
else,
ya
but
no-
I can't remember.
Hay algo
There's
más.
something else.
El sapito lo
Oh, the
dejamos
toad,
suelto.
we let him
Y un
loose.
sapo
There was a
hasta
toad
nosotros.
here.
El sapito lo dejamos
We let him
suelto.
loose.
Alacranes, de
We
todo.
have scorpions, all kinds of
Absolutamente
things,
todo.
absolutely
Bueno,
everything.
entonces,
So then
estaba
I was
leyendo.
reading.
¿Qué significa la
What does the
palabra
word
locura?
insanity mean,
dijeron
as
acá,
they said here, to prophesy?
Se lo voy a
I'll read
leer
it to you
en
in
la
the
Kadosh.
Kadosh version.
Samuel,
1 Samuel 18.
La gallina,
The
tenemos
chickens, we have
gallina,
chickens,
pato,
ducks,
3 gallinas, un
3
pato.
chickens, a duck.
Ah, una serpiente
Oh, a
preciosa.
serpent, a
Que
precious
no
one
pudo agarrar
that Brian
Brian.
could
La
not grab.
quería
He tried to
agarrar,
grab it.
pasó todo el
It was
día
all day looking
buscándola.
for it.
3 veces
He
la
caught it
agarró,
3
pero la soltó
times,
por
but
miedo.
let it go because
Porque
of
no sabíamos
fear,
si era
because we didn't know if it was
venenosa, no era
poisonous
venenosa.
or not.
Era muy bonita.
It was so beautiful.
De todo viene
All
acá.
kinds of things come here.
Okay, primero
Okay,
Samuel
1 Samuel
18,
18,
10 al 11,
10
Kadosh.
through 11
Al
Kadosh.
día siguiente,
The
un
next
ruach,
day, a ruach,
maligno de
an
los-
evil ruach from Elohim,
un ruach
an
maligno
evil
de los-
ruach
¿Cómo
from
suena
Elohim.
eso?
How does that
Un
sound?
ruach
An
maligno
evil
de
ruach
Elohim
from Elohim
cayó poderosamente
fell
sobre
powerfully
Saúl,
upon
y él
Saul, and he
profetizó
prophesied
en medio de su
in the
casa.
midst of his house.
¿Qué diferencia hay?
What
Poner
difference is there
profetizar
to
a
say
estar loco,
prophesied and to be
loquito,
crazy,
desvariado?
out of his mind, out of it?
La palabra es profetizar.
The word is to prophesy.
Profetizó.
He
¿Y por qué
prophesied.
profetizó?
Why did he
Porque el
prophesy?
espíritu era de
Because
Yahweh.
the spirit
El
came from
espíritu
Yahweh. The
era
spirit
de
was
Yahweh.
from Yahweh.
David estaba allí
David
tocando
was
su arpa
there
con su mano,
playing his harp with his hands,
como era la costumbre.
as it was his custom.
Y Saúl
And Shaul
tenía su lanza en su
had
mano
his
y arrojó
spear in his
la
hand,
lanza
and he
pensando,
cast the
voy
spear
a
thinking,
clavar
I'm
a
gonna
David a la pared.
nail David
lo
to the
que le
wall.
puso
That
Yahweh
is what
en la
Yahweh
mente.
placed in his mind.
Voy a clavar
I'm
a
gonna
David a
nail
la pared.
David
Pero David
to
escapó 2 veces
the wall,
de
but
su
David
presencia.
escaped
Entonces,
twice
la
from his
pregunta es,
presence. So then the question is,
que me acaban de decir acá.
which they
Dice, quisiera
tell us,
saber el espíritu
the thing
humano
I'd
enviado
like
por
to
Yahweh
know,
que
the
atormentaba al
spirit
rey
sent by
Saúl.
Yahweh that would
¿Qué era?
torment King
¿Qué lo
Saul, what was it?
poseía y lo
What would
llevaba
possess
a
him and
atacar?
would take him
Es
to attack?
exactamente eso.
That's
Es
exactly
como
that.
juega Yahweh
It's
con
the way
nosotros.
Yahweh plays with us.
Es un estado
It is
de
a
ánimo.
state of
Tan
mind,
poderoso
a
que
mood,
parece un espíritu.
so powerful that it
Como
would
haberse
seem to
tomado
be a
alcohol,
spirit,
como
as if
haberse
you
tomado un
drank
producto de
alcohol
farmacia,
or a little bit of
muchas cosas.
pharmakeia, many things.
Eso es un espíritu
That is what
enviado por
a
Yahweh,
spirit
es
sent
una
by Yahweh, it is
influencia
an
que Yahweh te pone en tu
influence
mente.
that Yahweh
Te
places
puede
in your
hacer
mind.
sentir miedo,
It's an
paz,
influencer.
te
It
puede
could make you
hacer
feel
sentir- te puede hacer sentir
fear,
lo que
peace, whatever.
pero no es un espíritu
But it's not a spirit,
maligno,
an
en
evil
el sentido de
spirit
una
in the
entidad
sense of an
que
entity
anda por los desiertos,
that
no.
is in the desert. No.
Sigue la pregunta.
The question
La
continues.
invocación del
Now, the
espíritu-
invocation
del
of
espíritu
the
del
spirit
profeta
of
Samuel,
Prophet Samuel,
realizado por la bruja de
done
Endor,
by
el
the
cual
witch of
profetizaba
Endor,
a
which
Saúl
would
cómo
prophesy to
morirá,
Saul how
cómo
he
moriría,
would die,
ocurre
takes
tal cual
place
lo había dicho.
as
Si bien
she
en
had
este
said.
último
If
no
in
dice
fact
que
in
era
this
un
last one
espíritu
doesn't say that it
maligno,
was an evil spirit,
sino que dice que
but
era el
rather it
espíritu
says
de
that it was the
Samuel,
spirit of
me
Samuel,
lleva a hacer otras preguntas.
makes
Vamos a
me
empezar
ask
por
other
parte,
questions.
antes
Let's
de hacer
start
otras preguntas.
by one.
Esa invocación que hizo
That
la bruja
invocation
de
that
Endor,
that witch of Endor did,
personalmente
personally,
he llegado a pensar que
I've
los
gotten to
muertos
think
están en
that
un
the
lugar
dead are
donde
in a
nosotros
place where we
podríamos llamarlo,
could call them from,
pero me parece que
but
no
I
es así.
think that it
¿Por
isn't
qué
so,
llego a pensar
because
así?
why
Porque
have
la
I
Biblia me lleva a pensar así.
thought that way? Because the Bible makes
Eso
me
es lo que
think
pasa.
so. That is
Si
what happens.
Dios hace una
If
regla
God makes a rule
diciendo, yo no
saying,
quiero que hablen con
I
los
don't want
muertos,
you
es
to
porque hay
speak
un
with the
muerto
dead,
con quien
because
hablar.
is because there's someone dead
¿Me entiendes?
whom to speak with. You understand what I'm
Yo no
saying?
pondría,
Or else
está
he would not
prohibido
say
Israel
it is
hablar con los
prohibited
muertos.
and it's
Pero
real
si pará, si
to
los
speak with the dead. But
muertos
hold on,
son
if
no
the dead
existentes
are
y no se puede hablar
non-existent
con ellos,
and you can't
¿para qué
speak with them,
prohibís
why
algo
do you prohibit something
de que no se puede hacer?
that you
Si se
cannot
la
do?
creen,
If they
dejalo.
believe it, then let
Es
them.
otra cosa.
That's
No está
something
hablando con
else.
muertos,
He's
está
not
hablando con
talking with
otra
the
cosa.
dead, he's talking something else.
Ese tipo de texto
That
me llevó a
type of
pensar
text
diciendo, al
led
final
me
los
to
muertos
think,
están
in
en
the
un
end of it
lugar
all, the
donde
dead are
nosotros
in a
los vivos
place
podemos llamarlo.
where
No,
we,
no
the
creo.
living,
No
can call
creo.
them. No, I don't believe that. I
Para
don't
mí
believe
Yahweh
that.
puso eso
For
para
me, Yahweh placed that
solamente
only
impedir
to
que
impede
usen un poder
for them
que
to
les
use
dije
a
que era el
power that
mismo
I've told
poder
you that it was the
del
very
mal,
same
que lo
power of
pueden
good and
usar
evil that
y
can be
hasta
used,
pueden hacer
and they can
recrear
even
personas que sean
recreate
muertos,
things
eso
that
no.
are the
Pero
dead.
que
That
sean
is what I'm
muertos
getting
real,
to.
no
But
creo.
for the dead person
No,
to be
creo,
real,
no,
no, I don't
absolutamente
believe
no.
it. No,
No existe.
absolutely, I don't
No
believe it.
creo, podría
It's not that I don't believe that maybe. No, I don't believe it cannot be. The dead are dead. Now, who is this prophet that the witch of Endor saw and Saul saw as well?
Samuel no fue.
It wasn't Samuel.
La Biblia me mintió.
The Bible lied to me.
Porque la Biblia dice, "Y
Because
el
the Bible
profeta
says, and the
Samuel."
prophet
No,
Samuel.
Samuel
No, it wasn't Samuel.
no fue.
It wasn't Samuel.
Si fue Samuel,
If it was Samuel,
entonces la bruja de
then
Endor
the
tenía
witch of
poder
Endor
para
had
resucitar
power
a
to
Samuel.
resurrect
Y
Samuel.
Samuel estaba en un
And
lugar
Samuel
donde
was in a
están
place
los
where
muertos
the dead
conscientes
are there
y que pueden
consciously,
ser llamados.
and they can be
Y
called from
claro
there.
que si
And of
hay
course,
ese poder,
if there's that power,
Dios dice, "No lo
then God
usen".
says, don't use
¿Qué es
it.
lo que diga Dios? Vamos a
Then
usarlo.
who cares what
Ah,
God
con
says?
todo
Let's
vamos a
use it
usarlo.
with
Si
everything.
podemos hablar con los
If we can
muertos,
speak with the dead,
no podemos hablar.
we cannot speak with the dead.
Entonces la Biblia me mintió.
So the Bible
groseramente.
lied to me grossly.
La
So,
Biblia me mintió.
just
A ver
the
si
Bible
está-
lied to me. Let's see if it's here.
Primero de Samuel
1
28.
Samuel 28.
Primero de Samuel
1
28.
Samuel 28.
Primer libro
First
de
book of
Samuel
Samuel
28.
28. The Bible lies
La
to my
Biblia
face.
me miente en la cara.
1 Samuel
Primero de Samuel
28,
28,
3 to
3 al
25
25.
says, Now
Me
Samuel
dice,
was
ya
dead,
Samuel había muerto,
and all
y
Israel had
todo Israel
lamented
lo
him
había lamentado,
and buried
y
him
le habían
in Ramah,
sepultado
even in his own
Ramá,
city.
su ciudad. Y Saúl había arrojado
And
de
Saul
la
had put
tierra
away
a los
those that
encantadores
had
y
familiar
adivinos.
spirits
De
and the
hecho, cosas
wizards.
buenas, Saúl,
Had
pero
Saul
por
done good
supuesto.
things, but of course.
Se
And then the
juntaron,
Philistines
pues, los
got
filisteos y
together
vinieron a acampar
and
en
came
Sunem,
and pitched
y
in
Saúl
Shunem, and Saul.
juntó-
No, hold on. What am I
No,
reading?
no. ¿Qué estoy leyendo?
Samuel had already
Ya
died.
Samuel
It
había
died. It
muerto,
said.
dice.
Oh, Samuel.
Ah, Samuel.
Oh, Samuel. So
Samuel. Estoy
the
hablando.
one that died was
Que
Samuel.
había
Pardon
muerto
me.
Samuel, perdón.
Pardon me.
Perdón.
Samuel.
Samuel.
Of course, he's done
Claro
good
que hizo
things and
cosas
bad things
buenas y
also.
cosas
Prophet
malas.
Samuel.
Profeta Samuel.
Samuel had
Samuel
died.
había muerto, no Saúl.
Samuel had
Samuel
died,
había
not Saul,
muerto y
and
todo
all
Israel había
Israel
lamentado
had
y bla, bla,
lamented,
todo lo
and
que-
Saul had
Y
gathered.
Saúl había arrojado de la
He had
tierra a los
drove away
encantadores
the
y
familiar
adivinos.
spirits and the
Saúl.
wizards out of the
Rey
land.
No
Saul
Samuel.
did that, not Samuel. And the
Se
Philistines
juntaron,
gathered
pues, los
themselves
filisteos
together
y
and
vinieron a
came and
acampar
pitched
en
in
Sunem,
Shunem, and
y
Saul, King Saul,
rey Saúl,
gathered all
juntó
Israel
a
together,
todo Israel
and they
y
pitched in
acamparon
Gilboa.
en Gilboa.
And when
Y
Saul saw
cuando vio Saúl
the host
el
of the
campamento
Philistines,
de los
he was
filisteos,
afraid,
tuvo miedo,
and his heart
y se
greatly
turbó su corazón en
trembled.
gran
Who was it
manera. ¿Quién
that
fue el que le hizo
troubled him
turbar
greatly?
todo eso?
Not just
No
because he
solamente
saw,
porque
because
vio,
Yahweh
porque Yahweh le hizo tener
made him
miedo.
feel fear. And
Y
when Saul
consultó
inquired of
Saúl a
Yahweh, but
Yahweh,
Yahweh answered
pero
him
Yahweh
not,
no le
neither by
respondió
dreams,
ni
nor by
por
Urim,
sueños, ni
nor
por
by
Urim, ni
prophets.
por
Wow.
profetas. Wow.
When was the last
¿Cuándo
time
fue la última vez que
that
que
Yahweh
te
consulted
consultó
you,
Yahweh a ti?
that you were able to communicate with Yahweh, and Yahweh communicated with you? Apparently,
Se ve
Saul
que Saúl
was used
estaba
to this.
acostumbrado.
He would ask Yahweh, and Yahweh would
preguntaba a
answer
Yahweh
him.
le respondía.
This time,
Pero esta
because he
vez,
would
porque él
prophesy.
profetizaba.
But this time,
Pero esta
Yahweh did
vez,
not answer
Yahweh no
him,
le respondió,
nor by
ni
dreams,
por sueños, ni
nor
por
Urim or Tumim,
ni
nor
por
prophets.
profetas.
None of the three
Ninguna de
things
las tres
do I
cosas
care
me
about.
interesan.
If Yahweh wants to
Yahweh
communicate with
quiere
us, let him
comunicarse
come
con
in
nosotros, que venga
person.
en persona.
So then Saul
Entonces
told
Saúl
his
dijo a sus
servants.
criados,
In other words, I'm
o
saying
sea,
from
dice
here on
que a
out,
partir de ahora,
if Yahweh wants to
si Yahweh
communicate
quiere
with us, he's going to
comunicarse
have to
con
do
nosotros, va a
something
tener
very
que hacer algo
special.
muy especial.
No
Ya no
longer
puede
in
ser
dreams
sueños,
or in
ni
visions or
visiones,
any
ni nada
stupid
por el
thing
estilo.
like that. So then Saul told his
Entonces Saúl
servants,
dijo a sus criados, buscadme una mujer que tenga espíritu de adivinación. Bien que las
Behold,
había echado, pero
seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, but in the back of his mind, he had driven them out, but he still believed in them, that I may inquire of her. And the servant said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit in Endor. What false spirits? They knew that the woman was there. They didn't let him know, so that they would kill her, kick her out. It's all mafia, this whole thing. Because good thing they understood it there, or else they would have said, no, it's all there. Behold, there is a woman in Endor who has the spirit of divination. And Saul disguised himself and put other raiment, and he went, and two men with him, and they went to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee to come up. Wow. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? And Saul swore to her by Yahweh. They all believed in Yahweh then, both the witch and Saul. Because if she didn't believe, I mean, what the fuck do I care if you swear in that God that I don't believe in? Then Saul
Entonces
swore to her
Saúl le
by
juró
Yahweh,
por
saying,
Yahweh,
As Yahweh
diciendo,
liveth,
vive
there shall
Yahweh,
no
que
punishment
ningún
happen to
mal
thee
te
for this
vendrá por
thing.
esto.
Then said the
La
woman,
mujer
Whom
entonces
shall I bring
dijo,
up
¿a quién
unto
te
thee?
haré
The
venir?
woman
La
accepted
mujer
this because she
aceptó
believed
eso
in Yahweh.
porque creía en Yahweh.
Because if some guy comes along and says, Look, I swear to you by Allah, what the fuck do I care about Allah? I swear to you, okay, then I believe it then. Okay, no, I'm going to believe if I believe in Allah, or else they can fuck off to not by Muhammad or anything. By anything, the woman then said, Whom shall I bring up for thee? Whom? Make Samuel bring up unto me. And the woman seen Samuel, that's a lie. Didn't see Samuel. The Bible's lying to me. She saw a figure similar to Samuel, saw something, an apparition kind of like Samuel, but didn't see Samuel. If she saw Samuel, then the dead are in a place in which one with the spirit of divination can call. And right there, it's all fucked up. Then it wasn't Samuel. And aside from that, if it wasn't Samuel, what the fuck does Samuel know about the future? Let's suppose that it was Samuel, dead. But according to the Bible, they present to me that Samuel dead and all still knew God's plans. He knew when Saul would die, when his sons would die. He knew everything. Where the fuck was Samuel? Okay. In seeing the woman Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, and the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. She saw him well now, and the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Wow. Now it becomes even worse. Gods that come out of the earth, and it's these dead people. One of those gods is Saul. What are those gods ascending from earth? What, they go up into heaven? And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up. He is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. Up until they could say, well, the Bible, maybe it's not really lying to me, because they got confused. She said that it was some old man. This is not, it's Samuel, he said. And she maybe never saw Samuel so up close as this is Samuel. And well. But what it says now, the Bible says that the one speaking was Samuel. And Samuel said unto Saul, whom does the Bible say that it was here? Samuel. Who is this book of Samuel? Who the fuck wrote it? Samuel. It wasn't Samuel, evidently. And Samuel said unto Saul. So then, the Bible should say, in the figure that they thought that was Samuel said unto Saul. The apparition said unto Saul. The spirit of who knows who the fuck it was said unto Saul. No. The Bible says, and Samuel said unto Saul. So then the Bible is stating that the one that appeared was Samuel. Yes, of course. Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? Where were you? He was so dead, but he was drinking mate, kick back. Mate didn't exist back then. He was eating an asado. Why the fuck did you call me? The Bible is lying to me to the full. This is when this took place, which I believe it took place, Yahweh, it was his highest work. He made the witch of Endor that Saul called. First he made Saul go to see the witch. Because if I don't answer him, if he plays the Turim and the Unim and the fucking bitch that bore him, I'm not going to answer him. Because I answer when I want. There's not going to be any other option that he's going to go look for a witch. And he's going to fall with this witch. When he goes with that witch, I'll make Samuel come up. Because I want to, just because. That's the way it is. It's a deceit. And when that took place, it was a whole scene. But Saul, if it was Samuel, then you don't need a resurrection. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's life after death. Let's see when we leave. And we go with Samuel. If Samuel can be brought up, if a witch from Endor brings up Samuel, then of course Yeshua made Lazarus come up, or whomever makes anybody come up. And Saul answered,
I'm very much anguished, for the Philistines are fighting against me, and God is departed from me, and he won't answer me, not by prophets or dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then Samuel, or the second time, the Bible confirms that it's Samuel. Then Samuel said, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing Yahweh is departed from thee and has become thine enemy? At that point in time, Saul, if it was Samuel, at this point in time, Samuel should fuck off. If it was the true Samuel, and when he told him that, why do you ask me then, Saul? If Yahweh is departed from thee, then fuck you, get fucked. And if I tell you something, I'm going to betray Yahweh. Do we agree with that or not? Because if you ask Yahweh, he won't answer. You ask the prophets of Yahweh, and they don't answer. You ask the Tumim and the Urim, and he won't answer you. Now you make me be called up, and if I answer you, Yahweh's going to say, why the fuck are you talking to Saul? If I told everyone not to talk to him. Do you understand what I'm saying? It makes no sense. Not in my mind. So then it says, and Saul says, and then why dost thou ask of me, if Yahweh is departed of thee and has become thine enemy? Yahweh hath done to him as he spake by me. For Yahweh hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because thou obeyest not the voice of Yahweh, nor executest the fierce wrath upon Amalek. Wow. Neither executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Every Christian would want to execute the fierce wrath of Yahweh. Every Adventist would wish they had a sword. And when Yahweh says, I'll cut everyone's heads off, that's the way it is. I felt that. I felt that. Because I said, Yahweh will utilize us to do away with everything. Of course. Exactly what did Saul do? An act of mercy. And what did Samuel do? He killed them, the one that pardoned his life. Let us be just like Samuel and like God. Or we're going to be entirely different. Like Saul in this case. I prefer Saul. What did you say? Between Saul and David, I'll keep Saul. Saul didn't have anybody killed to keep his wife. It was a friend. He wanted to stay there. It was like a competition. It's within the competition. Some guy comes along and they're what? To make him king, and looks at me and I stick him to the wall. I understand that. But what did David do? I like that guy's wife. I'll deceive him. I'll make him come. I'll try to make him lay with her to say that as his son. I cannot achieve that because the guy's so good. He says, I'm not going to touch my woman. Well, we're at war. I'm not going to do this, not to God or to Saul. What to do with this idiot? Oh, well. Well, I have him killed, and I have him killed. And send him this. Oh, wow. Who was the worst out of the two? 1,000 times over, David was the son of a bitch next to Saul. Just like that. 1,000 times over. Not to mention anything else. So then it says, since you did not obey the voice of Yahweh or execute the fierce wrath of Yahweh against Amalek, like all the Christians want to do, like what's this guy's name? Luisete wants to do. Right, the apocalypse has to be fulfilled so that they learn. And if they were to give me the power, what if they were to give the power to Luisete? I mean, forget it. Apocalypse starts now. Obviously. Because we're against the apocalypse, because we're against his apocalypse, against him. So then it says, in Yahweh, since you did not obey the voice of Yahweh, nor fulfill his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath Yahweh done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, Yahweh will also deliver Israel with thee unto the hand of the Philistines. And Yahweh will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. And the morrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. They could speak with Samuel. It says, you'll be with me tomorrow. You and your sons. And Yahweh shall also deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all day nor all the night. Incredible what the Bible says. The Bible says that the one that came was Samuel.
Samuel.
And then later it
Y
says
después dice que
that he
murió
died
tal cual
just
la
as
palabra la
the word that was
profetizó Samuel.
prophesied by Samuel. So then,
Entonces, ¿en qué quedamos?
how do we? What are we agreeing with? Was it Samuel?
No,
Samuel
Samuel
cannot
no
come.
puede
He's
venir.
dead.
Está muerto.
He's dead. Period.
Está muerto. Punto.
And nobody
Y de
comes
la
from
muerte no
death
sale nadie
except for the
excepto
Messiah.
por el Mesías.
Just like that, I'll
Vuelvo a
repeat it
repetir.
again. From
De la
death,
muerte
nobody
no
escapes.
sale
Out of
nadie.
death, nobody
De la
comes.
muerte no viene nadie.
We
No
cannot
podemos
call
llamar a
any
ningún
dead
muerto
person
a
unless the
menos que
Mashiach
el
calls him.
Mashiach lo llame.
The only one
El
that will
único
have
que
the
va a
key
tener la
of
llave del
hell, the
infierno.
key
La
of
llave
Hades,
del Hades.
the only one,
El único.
is the
Es
Mashiach.
el Mashiach.
So then,
Entonces,
this lady
esta
didn't call
señora
anyone,
no llamó a nadie.
called a power,
Llamó un poder.
and Yahweh,
Y
utilizing
Yahweh,
that power, he
utilizando ese
presented
poder,
himself
se
as a viewer
presentó como
Samuel
si
and
fuera
told them
Samuel y le dijo
the
la
truth to
verdad
Saul,
a Saúl,
of which
de la
he
cual
and his
él y
sons
sus hijos
would die.
murieron.
So then,
Entonces,
the question is,
la pregunta es,
where did I leave off on? His
la
question is
pregunta
the
de él dice, la
invocation of
invocación
the
del
spirit of
espíritu
prophet
del
Samuel,
profeta Samuel, realizado por la bruja de
done
Endor,
by the
el
witch of
cual
Endor,
le
which
profetizó
prophesied
a
unto
Saúl
Saul how
cómo morirá,
he would
y
die,
ocurre
and it takes
tal
place just
cual
as
lo había dicho.
he said.
Si bien
In
en este
fact, it
último
doesn't
no
say that
dice
it was
que
an
era un
evil
espíritu
spirit.
maligno,
No, it
no,
was supposedly the spirit of the
supuestamente el
prophet,
espíritu del profeta,
but rather it says
sino
that
que
it was the
dice que
spirit
era
of
el
Samuel.
espíritu de Samuel.
It takes me
Me
to
lleva
other
a otras
questions.
preguntas.
Can the
¿Puede el
spirit of a
espíritu
dead
de un
person be called
fallecido
back
ser
from
traído del
rest
descanso
by
por medio de la
by
hechicería a nuestro
witchcraft
plano
to our
terrenal?
terrenal plane? Impossible.
Imposible.
A
Un
dead
muerto
person is dead,
está muerto.
and they
No
no
tiene
longer have
más
any more
Pago ni
conscience of
conciencia a
payment
este
at this
nivel,
level until the Mashiach
hasta
calls
que
them.
el Mashiach lo llame.
Or else
Si
it's
no
just
es una
fucking
joda.
around. We don't need a
No
Mashiach.
necesitamos Mashiach, necesitamos
We need all types of
todo tipo
witches,
de brujas, hechiceros, que no
mages
tienen el
that
poder de
don't
hacerle
have
el cuerpo, pero
the
el
power to
espíritu
make him
lo
the body,
trae.
but they bring the
O sea,
spirit. So
entonces
then when
lo
the
que va a hacer
Mashiach says,
Mashiach
hey,
es,
boys
chicas
and
y
girls,
chicos,
you that
vengan
have
ustedes que
power,
tienen
call
poder,
them,
llámenmelo,
and I'll make
yo
the
le voy
body for
haciendo
them.
el
No,
cuerpo.
no,
No,
no, no, and no.
no y
The
no.
dead person
El
is dead,
muerto está muerto
and that
y eso
is
es una
a truth
verdad
in my point of view
para
that
mi
is
punto
eternal.
eterna.
They are dead.
Está muerto.
What you
Se
need is the
necesita
Mashiach
el Mashiach
to resurrect
para
those dead.
resucitar a esos muertos.
There is
Y
no
no hay
diviner or
adivino
anything.
ni
It's
nada.
all
Todo es una charlatanería y el uso de esa fuerza
a
misteriosa
charlatan. The use
que
of that
puede
mysterious force
impersonar
that
a
can personify
personas
people,
porque el engaño
because the
Yahweh lo
deceit,
hizo
Yahweh
grandecito.
did
Pero
it
que sea
pretty
la
big,
persona real,
but
no.
that it's the real
No,
actual person, no,
absolutamente.
absolutely not.
Entonces, primera pregunta
So then first
respondida.
question answered.
No, la respuesta
No,
es
the answer is we cannot bring back the spirit of any dead person by means of witchcraft to our terrenal plane. No. What we're going to bring is a power that could even personify and become as if it were the voice of a person and look, because witchcraft is a great power, just like the serpents that we spoke of Pharaoh and his mages. They can take a body, but it is not what it seems. It is a second question from that. Is there the possibility that the spirit of a dead person does not return to Yahweh like the scripture says, and that the same is left wandering around in our terrain like a phantom or a ghost until the day in which everything is restored? That would be the second logical conclusion when we start to believe that the witch of Endor brought up Prophet Samuel. No. Under no point of view does the spirit of the person can be left wandering anywhere, nor also do I believe that it goes back into Yahweh in the literal sense of the word. I believe that Yahweh keeps him in a place. He's not wandering, he is put away. It's like a DNA, it has a number. Every soul has a number, a soul which is absolutely unique. It is the way you identify it. It's easy to put away and keep it. Since it's the creator, it's like a serial number, like in a program, and that serial number, Yahweh keeps it. When he needs it, he's going to give the possibility to the Messiah that through a power that is technique, which is physique, which is rather something real, he will bring that serial number to existence. But it cannot be in my mind, it cannot My mind cannot think or believe that the spirits of the dead are floating around under any aspect, nor also that we can call them from some place where they are kicked back. No, zero chance. So then it says, thank you for your answers. It always makes us wiser. Perfect. Having answered both things, the spirits do not exist from the dead. The dead know not anything. The dead cannot be resurrected by anyone, nor be called up by anyone, nor raised up by anyone, not consulted by anyone, nor are they wandering around, nor do they have any conscience. Only the Mashiach, who is called the resurrection, he will give them life and will call them. Up until that point, they are in zero conscience. They cannot be called because no one has the power to call them. But they do. Deceits do exist, and those deceits are the demons precisely. I haven't understood them well, the demons. It is that power. Proverbs 1:23. Pay attention to my corrections. And today I will change the subject. I'll change only one little word. Pay attention to my answers. Because we had a bunch of questions. So pay attention to my answers, and I will fill you with my spirit, which will make my thoughts be known unto you. How do you know it? Through questions. I love the questions. Questions, the honest, sincere questions of all types. I like of all types, which can have a teaching for everyone. There are many questions that I answer directly because they're more on the simple end. So then I answer them directly to the people that ask me. But there are certain questions that I see that can teach, reaffirm, correct, and leave something clear. The concept that we have, concept of death, they're dead. That in some point in time I may have thought, and maybe I don't know, I doubt it, that Yahweh said, for God they all live and blah blah blah. And that call from Samuel, and that Israel should not call the dead. One says, might it be a chance to call the dead? Might it be that they're in some place? Are they floating somewhere? Is it all those stories of the dead? I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything. The dead are dead. They don't go anywhere. They no longer exist. And their soul, their DNA, or whatever you want to call it, is concentrated in a number. Something that not even that could be called up without that special power that the Mashiach will have. So then that number, that person is kept away. Is put away without a conscience, without anything. Right there. Now when the Mashiach has the power, now once the Mashiach has the power of physically returning a person and calling him back, barely then will we see for the very first time in all history true resurrection entirely. Like we've seen that of Lazarus, give or take. Up until that time, there's no witch, no mage, there's no power to call up on the dead. What you do call is problems, because they're spirits. They are forces that we create. They are entities, and I believe that it's also an intelligent force. That is why it is a resounding no to not get involved in that, because that power is created by Yahweh. And the serpents that the Egyptians made, they existed. Everybody saw them, those serpents. But they didn't have the power against Israel. But for the rest of the world, they do have power. So then, how do I think to act? How should I act? Not to get into witchcraft at all. To reject all types of witchcraft, any type of enchantments and things like that. Second of all, to believe that they do exist and to know that the dead cannot either send you messages or speak to you. When you see a dead person speaking, or that they tell you, or that you experience it yourself, you have to know that it's a deceiving force, and that you're not seeing a dead person or hearing anything, you're seeing a power. And that power You have
tú
more
tienes más
power
poder
to
para
reject it,
rechazarlo,
more power
más poder
for it to
para
not
que no te
harm
haga
you,
daño,
and you have to
y
use
tienes que
the
usar la parte
part,
de
the
la
positive part of
fuerza
the foe's
positiva, no de la
force,
parte de la fuerza
not the
negativa.
negative part. And also,
Y también
today we've
hoy
learned
aprendimos
that we
que nosotros
create
creamos
spirits
espíritus
with our
con
voice
nuestra
and
boca,
comes out of the
sale
mouth
de
of
los
men,
labios.
and
Y
those
esa
lies
mentira
comes back to you.
vuelve a ti.
Those
Ese
deceits
engaño
come back to you.
vuelve a ti.
That
Esa
wickedness
maldad vuelve
comes
a
back
ti.
to you,
Y
and
no
that
vuelve esa
wickedness does
maldad,
not come back. It
vuelve
comes back 7
7
times
veces
worse.
peor.
That is why think
Por eso piense,
about it whenever you want
cuando
to do a
quieran hacer una
wickedness.
maldad,
Think
piensen
if you're going to say a
cuando digan
lie.
una mentira,
Think when you're going to
piensen cuando
say a false
digan un
testimony,
falso testimonio,
because that
porque eso
will come back
le va a
unto you
volver
7 times
7
worse.
veces
Period.
peor.
It is a rule.
Es una regla.
And that
Y
now,
que ahora que
once
la
I understand it,
entiendo,
I mean, I'm telling you,
ustedes
you should
la deben
have it
tener
in a
en una
letter
carta
that you know
que saben
that
que eso
should
no
not be
se
used,
usa,
but is
pero
used
sí se
backwards.
usa al revés.
When I say
Cuando digo
things
cosas de
truly, when I
verdad,
say
cuando
things
digo
of
cosas
mercy,
de
when I say
misericordia,
things
cuando
that are
digo
good,
cosas buenas,
I
cuando
build.
instruyo.
Instead
En vez de
of
un
an evil spirit
espíritu
coming out of my
malo de mi
mouth,
boca,
then a
sale un
good spirit comes
espíritu
out of my
bueno
mouth.
de mi
And
boca.
if
Y si sale un
a spirit comes
espíritu,
out, if
si
my
mis
words are
palabras son
spirit and they are
espíritu, que
life,
son vida,
they come back in
vuelven
life.
vida.
If my words
Si mis
are
palabras son
dead
espíritu
spirit,
muerto,
then
me
more
vienen
dead
mucho
spirits
más
come.
fuerte.
Can we
Podemos
change the
cambiar
apocalypse?
el
Why
Apocalipsis,
change
¿para
it?
qué cambiarlo?
We just have to
Solo hay
understand
que
it.
entenderlo.
It's as if to say that thanks to our good mood that we can continue to speak, giving advices, helping,
Exacto.
and answering questions, and
Y
giving
dando
a good mood.
mood.
If the spirit is a mood, then you can understand it if you replace the word mood for spirit.
La
The
letra
word
para
counts
nada
for
aprovecha.
nothing.
Mis palabras
My words,
son
they are
espíritu,
spirit,
porque es un neuma,
because it's a
y son
pneuma,
vida.
and they are life.
Y eso lo dijo Yeshua.
And Yeshua said
Eso lo
that,
digo yo.
and I say that.
Mis palabras,
My words,
la letra,
the words,
o la carne,
or the flesh,
la letra,
which is the words,
para nada aprovecha.
counts for nothing.
Mis palabras
My
son
words are
espíritu,
spirit,
y son
and they
vida.
are life.
Ahora sí, entonces vamos
Now,
a terminar
let us wrap
con
up
una oración.
with a word of prayer. Our
Padre
Father
nuestro
that
que
art
estás
in
en los
heaven,
cielos, te damos
we give you
gracias,
thanks, Yahweh,
porque tú
because you
nos
show
muestras
us
en las
in
escrituras
Scripture
que hay un poder,
that there is a power,
y ese poder
and that
tiene
power has
una parte
a
positiva
positive
y una parte
side and a
negativa,
negative
una
side,
parte de engaño
a
y una
deceitful
parte de
side,
verdad.
and a truthful side.
Deseamos
We
siempre
always wish for
a usar la
to
parte de
use the
justicia,
justice part, the justice
porque
side,
deseamos
because we
claramente
clearly
y rápidamente
desire
y
and quickly and urgently,
y reclamamos
and we demand
que
that
nos des
you give us
el
the
trono
throne
y el cetro de
and the
justicia
scepter of justice
para
to
empezar
start
el reinado del
the
Mashiach en esta tierra.
kingdom of the
Damos
Mashiach
gracias
on
por
this
todo
earth. We
esto,
give you
lo que
thanks for all this,
nos has
what you have
enseñado.
taught
Damos
us. We
gracias
give
porque
you
nos
thanks because
enseñaste
you have taught us
de esta ley,
about this
que
law
cuando sale
of
mentira
when
o engaño,
lies
vuelve
or deceit come out, it comes
más
back
peores
seven
que
times
salió
worse than the one that
para
came out to
prevenir que
prevent
nosotros hagamos
that
este
we
tipo
do
de
this
maldades. Todo
types
esto
of wickedness.
lo
All this
entendemos
we understand
claramente
it
y te
clearly,
damos
and we give you
gracias y
thanks.
estamos
And
esperando
we're waiting for
que este año
this year
sea
to
el
be
año en el cual
the
se
one
cumpla
in
Yom
which Yom
Kippur.
Kippur is
Todo esto
fulfilled.
lo
All this we thank you for in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Hallelujah. Semper Fi. The destiny is written. It's been a while that I haven't said that. And the end is inevitable. Now, the end is the end of peace, not the end of destruction. So then, the end of peace is inevitable. No matter how many human beings believe that there's going to be a destruction, no matter how many human beings believe that a rapture is coming and the rest of the world is dead, or persecuted or tortured, with the cups and the plagues and the trumpets of the apocalypse, that is not the end. The end is inevitable, and the end is the Mashiach. And the kingdom of the Mashiach, the destiny is written. The one that will be, will be. The Mashiach is the Mashiach. And the end is placed by the Mashiach. It's inevitable, it's an end of peace, an end of construction, an end of resurrection. Instead of final judgment, it is a day of resurrection. All the contrary to what you were told. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve, crowned with glory. Let us live, or let us swear with glory to die. Long live the Argentum Bostera Bride of God. Long live the Mashiach, which is the only one that has power upon death and will bring the dead to life. I didn't finish up Brian's story. The dog, the Doberman dog, 5 months old, is called Layla. It is the third Doberman on this lineage that's called Layla. The third Layla. The third Layla. So then later, Brian, you can post some pictures of your beautiful Layla. Hallelujah to every one of you. And we shall meet again next Shabbat. Next Shabbat. Yes, if Yahweh allows it. Hallelujah to every one of you.